So, on second thought, I'm starting to think that music might have been too beautiful a lead-in to what the stream is going to be. I was just picking at random SpongeBob production musics for a fitting kind of soundtrack, and that was a beautiful track. I wasn't expecting it to sound so glorious. You know, especially since I picked up this little image today, which is also appropriate for the stream in some ways. There you go. Get a load of that. I would consider myself, I guess you'd probably call me I guess an old school fan of the show. I have not really seen much beyond season 4. I didn't know this is what they were doing these days. I think this is actually an older episode now. This might be about 3 or 5 years old, but there it is. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should have just had this be the intro screen and just, you know, nothing else. It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, I think this would make a good BRB for the stream today, I imagine. Okay, so I'm gonna do something a little different on this stream. The previous streams I've done of this what would you call it, segment, I guess, I suppose, have been on Twitch. I haven't uploaded them to my YouTube channel yet. Basically, I've just downloaded Flashpoint, the huge Flash game and cartoon archive that people put together during the sad death of Flash. I just looked up at OBS and I forgot this was still on the screen. Let's put him away now. He'll come in handy later. So I realized while looking through that there is about at least 230 just official Nickelodeon Flash games based on SpongeBob, and for whatever reason, I don't know, brain chemical reaction and all that, even though I've been a fan of the series since I was a small kid, basically as long as I can remember, it aired here when I was about 5 years old. I've just been very, very into it the past week, and it sort of seeped into my streaming, actually more than the past week, because I think that those first streams like a month ago now, it seeped into my general streaming hobby. So I've definitely encountered some gems, some really good well put together games with heart doing these streams, and some trash. There's a lot of that. We might find a lot of that today because I am now getting to the end of this list. I have not played through anywhere near all of the games. I've skipped quite a few. I've gone for the most interesting previews, truly judging a book by its cover. But before I start that today, I don't know how long this is going to take. It could be half an hour, it could be 2 hours, depending on how much I have to say. And going by my recent interest in this series, probably a lot to say. I'm going to do a tier list on tiermaker.com of just the season 1 to 3 ones, because like I said, I don't really know anything else. And I'm going to put those together, have a little talk about it, and depending on how long that takes, then afterwards we'll look at some Flash games together. We can make memories, wonderful memories, on the stream today. So I'm just gonna open up that window real quick. I already have it ready and clear to go, so we can start looking through the ratings of the SpongeBob episodes. There it is. I also have some music to play in the background. Probably just as nice as the intro music, actually. Here we go. That's nice. Let's bring it down a little so it's just kind of background ambience. There we go. Oh, and there's my channel. Would you look at that? Wow. There's a lot of... Look at all these SpongeBob mixes on the side here. So if you want to go and find this playlist, and I'd recommend it. I tested it a little bit before going to the stream to see how it sounded. It's lovely. You got a nice lo-fi mix. Some nice water ambience. Beautiful. But here's the tier maker, and you can see it has, I think, every episode up until possibly now. Maybe it's a year or so out of date. I'm not too sure. I don't think there's a date on it, is there? I assume this is probably somewhat recent, at least. Yeah. So. That's quite intimidating, but fortunately we're only doing like not even a quarter of those. I have watched up to, like I said, season 3. I saw some of 4 when I was a kid. I don't really know much about it to rate it. I don't really remember any of it. So we're on what, season 18 now? Because I think it took a couple of years break for the movie, didn't it, before it got renewed again. I've barely scratched the surface. Isn't that a weird thought? It always makes me think of, like, I used to play Neopets when I was a kid as well. We're actually pretty on and off since, I guess consistently up until about 2007 when they did the big revamp, and then on and off past then. And Neopets has actually been post-revamp longer, far, far longer than it has pre. I think it had, like, the original layout for 8 years, around about 8 years. It has had the new layout for... what would it be now? We're going on like nearly 15 years. Because I think it was March, so the 15... or April? Somewhere about that, so the 15 years has passed. So like what I think I was like, oh yeah, it's new SpongeBob. New SpongeBob is about 17 years old, so that is quite the thought to come into this with. What's nice actually is it's all alphabetical, so I can actually quite easily skip the ones I don't know, which is probably a lot of them looking at it. So what's the first one on this list that I'm familiar with? I do remember All That Glitters. That was a season 4 episode. It's Arg. I thought it might have been Accidents Will Happen, but I think I'm confusing that with, I think the one I saw was I Had an Accident with the SpongeBob goes indoors and then there's a gorilla and all that. So, yes, Arg. Arg, that's a good episode. Should we go S tier already? That's a pretty high start, isn't it? I don't particularly care about being generous. I'll put anything anywhere. I'm gonna hand out all these S rankings so easily. S for SpongeBob and Sandy. Got A for Patrick, B for Bibwub, C for Crabs. See, it works. So yeah, Arg is a good one. I can't not put any episode with Weast, the Weast joke in it, not an S tier. It's a really likable episode. Also season 1, I think, right? So that's my preferred art style. I know people always have like a thing like, oh, the first one's always better, but it's kind of true, you know. It's a really visually pleasing series. So, artist unknown. I liked this one. It's definitely not one of the ones that there are a few, even in the golden years, that I definitely am not so fond of. I'm not too biased towards season 1 and 3. I know there are some ones that personally I didn't really like so much. Artist unknown was I'll put that in like a tentative B, because I know that's very quotable. It's got bold and brash, more like belongs in the trash and stuff like that. I'm gonna give that a B. It's not a bad episode by any means, but yeah, I think there's better ones. It's a really tough competition with this series because it started great right off the bat. There is just like a string of incredibly strong episodes. And then I do think as it gets to about the tail end of season 3, for me anyway, the shine does kind of come off a little bit in some of them. There's still some great ones. I mean, the campy episode is season 3. That's one of my personal favourites. But yeah, also known, it's good. I guess B is good, you know. Like, you know, S is spectacular, A is like an above average, B for Bud, bad, not bad. Yeah, B for not bad, we'll say that. And then C for, you know, a scene on TV. That's the one where they're in the commercial, isn't it, for the Krusty Krab? I feel like I'm being negative right off the bat for saying how much I like the series as a kid. A scene on TV, I'll put that in a C, I think. Because, I don't know, that is a funny one, but there was something always kind of, seemed a little out of character to me as a kid. It always seemed a little more annoying to get through, I guess, rather than fun. It's definitely funny. I feel like I'm really overly defending these with like, no, I think it's funny, but I do, they're all pretty much like well-paced, funny jokes throughout those first 3 seasons, but yeah, scene on TV, I don't know, it all kind of annoyed me a bit when like characters got too egotistical, especially if they weren't usually like that. It seemed really out of character for them. That was a good, I like that. That definitely has some lines in it that I really enjoy, like, see you later, Bravlakes, what a nice cereal box. You know, that's good. It's got a good script still and everything. But yeah, I think I am going to stick that in C. Wow, we've done 3 episodes, and after me completely gassy up SpongeBob talking about how it's really great, you know, I know it for long as I remember. B and C episodes. That's going in alphabetical order though. Like, if it'd been an air date, there'd definitely be quite a few on the top 2 rows by now. I have actually seen Atlantis SquarePants, because when I was 15, I was really into David Bowie. And you know that when you like something, you will just watch absolutely anything to get a taste, you know? And even though then I was like way post watching SpongeBob, new SpongeBob anyway, and I was like, it's not going to be good anymore, but you know, my man voice acts in it. And they didn't even get a song, so yeah, I'm not going to add that to the list. That's like an honorary mention, but it's like whatever. Band Geeks. Well, are we going to get an S tier already? Because it's an obvious choice, but it's an obvious choice for a reason. Like, it's popular for a reason. It's an incredibly good episode. The Sweet Victory rock song at the very end is so uplifting, such a fantastic, like, big, soft rock ballad. It's really satisfying to see Squidward get, you know, actually have a happy end to his story, because he's always the character that just, you know, he exists to be beat up, he's miserable, that's his role in the comedy act. But it's one of those that's real, like a real gag a second episode. I really love the scene where they're gathered in the music hall to practice, and Patrick kicks Sandy, and they go out together and fight. They tussle outdoors, and you just hear the most horrific sound from Patrick's voice actor. Just this huge scream, silence. There's a beat where everybody looks really distressed, and then he walks in, and the trumpet. And when I was the owner of the white sedan, you left your lights on. That entire episode is a very funny episode with a really strong ending. And, you know, it's got to be... I'm going to put it above Ark for now. I don't know if I'm going to arrange them all by order in the ranks, but that's definitely where I'm going to put Band Geeks for the time being. Best day ever... Biddy sitting. I kind of want to guess what these plots might be based on the titles. I know Are You Happy Now was that one with the controversial, like, Squidward hanging himself joke, wasn't it? Those newer episodes definitely go some places. Big Pink Loser. Another tentative B. I do like that one. That has some really... should it be like a... I feel like it's a B closer to an A than it is a C, you know? Like, it has some good ones. That's the whole, like, you know, is this the Krusty Krab? No, this is Patrick. I think there's ones where, like, the jokes I can pick out of the episodes are really memorable, but the whole episode itself might be, like, a little less so, you know? Like, not forgettable, just it's not as strong as its jokes, which I know is a weird criticism for a cartoon that's, you know, comedic. That's supposed to be like the only thing it has going for it. But yeah, I do generally favour random jokes I can pick out and Big Pink Loser over the full episode in general. So yeah, a tentative B close to A. Boating School. I like this one. I feel like it feels weird to say undeserving of an S because it's my opinion tier, but I am going to put it like as a last S because I just like this one overall. I really am a fan of the pacey of season 1. I like this little scene at the beginning where SpongeBob is really dejected because he failed his test, and he goes home, and then Patrick tells him to come into this huge expansive library he's got to get to his closet. And it's a really cute moment. I like the atmosphere of season 1. I like it's almost like domestic. I was just saying today that it's very close to the tone of Rocko's Modern Life, you know. I like a lot of people, obviously Stephen Hillenburg worked on that, a lot of the voice actors were on that show. It has a sort of very, like, domestic setting in an unusual location. Like, it's, you know, undersea creatures with all very cartoony effects. A lot of stuff that's very, you know, sci-fi and realistic, like Sandy's rocket. And it just, I like that. I like when there's sort of like a slice of life setting in an extraordinary setting, you know. I think you can get a lot of good humour, a lot of good comedy out of having the characters react in a very mundane way against a weirder backdrop. And I like that about Boating School. It's a very, like, it has a lot of, you know, cartoony physics, but it's just a guy trying to pass his driving test and feeling kind of sad that he can't do that. And I'd like the whole premise of the episode. I like the characters' interactions. I like Patrick and SpongeBob's dynamic in this one. Because, like, originally Patrick is just like, he's dumb, but he doesn't know he's dumb. He's not really vindictive either, like he is later on in the show. He just like, he thinks he's smart and he's really encouraging for SpongeBob, and he, like, wants him to do his best, but he doesn't know any better either. And I like that about their little dynamic. They both enable each other's stupidity, but in a really naive, innocent way. So yeah, I'm definitely going to put that in S tier for me. I like that one. Born Again Crabs. Again, I think that's going in a C. I never really liked this one. I don't know. I think you'll notice a pattern here that the ones that got super mean-spirited, I was never really into. And I like a lot of shows that can be very unpleasant. Invader Zim, Ed, Edd n Eddy were both, like, my favourites growing up. And those could get, you know, really harsh and insulting and just hard to watch. But I think the tone kind of works there. The tone never quite worked the same as SpongeBob. Because it was funny how everyone around SpongeBob was kind of a bit more grounded and cynical, maybe even annoyed by him, but he didn't care. And like Patrick didn't care either. You know, they're all just like going through life really oblivious, and they had each other to be really optimistic with. And I like Mr. Krabs kind of liked him. And it's another one that's funny, but the general episode is like, nah, I never really got into this one too much. It wasn't like, it's not bad. None of these early episodes are particularly bad, except maybe for me the tail end, like I said, of season 3. But yeah, there's ones that they aren't awful, they aren't offensive, you know, they aren't poorly written. I just personally never got into them, and I think that's as seen on TV in Barnacle and Krabs so far. Not bad, just like not really for me, I guess. Bossy Boots. I like this one. I don't know if it's an S tier, but I like that one, because that's the one where like Pearl comes in and tries to revamp the Krusty Krab, isn't it? Is it the Cuddly Crab, or I think that's what it is, isn't it? I like this one. I like Pearl as a character. I think her voice actress is funny. I don't think there's a single weak link in this voice acting cast. They're all funny and talented. They all do great deliveries. I love Pearl's Squidward is such a barnacle delivery. I like the costumes in this one. I think they get a lot of good comedic moments out of the costumes in them. I like the Pearl episodes. They don't really utilise her that much, but she's a good character. I think she works off the others really well. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say about Bossy Boots without just saying, yeah, it was funny. It's really hard to review comedies because there's only so many ways you can express it was a funny episode. You don't want to like delve into the comedy and dissect it too much and explain why it's funny. I mean, I could do that. I'm quite happy to do that, and it's, you know, it's my stream, and I could just do that if I wanted to. But you chose to click on this. You now have to just sit here and listen to me info dump about SpongeBob SquarePants apparently, and why its comedy works. But I do like that one. Yeah, I don't know if I could put it in an S. I think there are better episodes, but it's definitely strong enough to be an A for me. So what else have I seen? Bubble Buddy. That's another A. I like this one. I feel like I've said this for so many, but that's the problem with like season 1 to 3. I do like 99% of these episodes. One joke that I think is kind of underrated that I really enjoy from this one is when they're all waiting at a line for the Portaloo on the beach, and SpongeBob just points to it and goes, "My friend's in there." And the guy waiting in line goes, "Congratulations." I don't know why, but that joke really gets me. I really enjoy that little moment. Yeah, this is a good one. It's one I never really remember the whole structure of, more so like the general plot, and like I said, some jokes of it. I actually can never really remember how this one starts. I think like everyone's busy. I remember this is one that like, he goes over to Patrick and Squidward's house and they're not home. So he doesn't have anyone to play with, so he blows a bubble to be his buddy. And then he goes to the beach and like Bubble Buddy annoys everyone. And then it's of course revealed at the end that Bubble Buddy was sapient the whole time. Yeah, even though it's one I remember the jokes from, like I do with like the series I've said, the episodes rather that I've said, I remember the jokes more than I liked the general plot. I do forget the general plot of Bubble Buddy, but it never usually seemed like it was an annoying one, so I think that bumps it up to A. Because the plot might have not been memorable, but the jokes were enough to make it strong in my mind, so that's going on A tier, I think. Bubble Stand. I really like this one. I'm not sure if it's an S. It's a very early episode. I think it's like episode 2. Like, in the list anyway. Obviously there were 3 in the pilot. Or episode 1 at least. You have the pilot, then you have Reef Blower and Tea at the Tree Dome. And then I think you have Bubble Stand, right? I think that is the 4th episode in total, 2nd episode shown. I enjoy it. Again, it's like one of those little domestic episodes. The animation's nice. I like that it sort of introduces Squidward and Patrick and SpongeBob's dynamics with each other. It's a cute one, and it's obviously got, I don't think that's a recent episode, I think that is episode 4, isn't it? It's obviously got like, it's a giraffe, so, you know, anything with those really quotable moments, it's got to come up here in the high tiers. What else is there? Can you spare a dime? Strong B. Strong B. I like this one. Again, I think they do get comedy out of having conflicts between Squidward and Mr. Krabs. But I don't know, I never liked them pulling them too far out of character that much. And it seems weird to criticize the characterization of SpongeBob characters, because it is first and foremost a slapstick comedy rather than like some, you know, episodic dramatic series. But it's like, I don't know, it's really funny. I really love, you know what, a strong point of the episode for me is when SpongeBob just absolutely loses it. Squidward's been, you know, freeloading, taking advantage. I think the build-up to him completely losing his mind and screaming. Tom Kenny does amazing screaming. All of his deliveries of SpongeBob is good. Even to this day, it's amazing that he still does it. Still seems to really enjoy it. Nothing indicates that he's gotten, like, tired of doing this. He just seems to really genuinely enjoy this gig, which is great for him. And I just think he nails screaming so well, because screaming can like easily be annoying. Shouting is just not like inherently funny. In fact, it can go to the other extreme and be really obnoxious. Tom Kenny just has some amazing chops when it comes to just absolutely losing his mind. And that whole sequence where SpongeBob's just like grit his teeth is like, I get someone I need to do a job to do that job. And obviously like, the read of like Crustaceous Cheapskate. So yeah, I would say solid B. I was never like super into the plot, but again, jokes are good. So kind of same principle as Bubble Buddy and Born Again Crabs and all that. What do we have up next? Chocolate with nuts. I mean, I would say, and I think this might be a bit controversial, A. I think a lot of people would put that in S tier, and I really like this one. But I don't know what it is. It's funny. I really, you know, I know there's only so many times you can say something's funny about a comedy series. This one's great. I like the plot of that, just they're running into the same con man who just like sells them stuff back to them and earns more money than they do. The whole thing about that I was born with glass bones and paper skin. every night I would lay awake and wait for my heart attacks to put me to sleep. See, I can quote all of these things. They're all incredibly timeless and just so likable. But I think it does go in an A rather than an S for me. I don't know why. There's nothing I can actually say to say why that is. I just think there's better ones than Chocolate with Nuts. I know it's probably a controversial thing to say. Now, Christmas Who? That goes in the haven't seen pile. And it's because apparently, I only learned this recently, this didn't air here until either 2005 or 2006, by which point I'd seen, it must be 2006, yeah, because the movie didn't air here until 2005. So by that point, even as like a tween, I would watch the season 4 SpongeBob's, and I thought, I didn't think it was bad yet, but it had something was different about it, something I wasn't able to really properly articulate as a kid. Because obviously as a kid, you don't know that people have left the crew. I had no idea that Steven Hillenburg wanted to leave and had left post the movie. I didn't know like script writers had changed around, that kind of thing. So I think I knew that I didn't like the new episodes as much. And then by the time Christmas Who was aired in the UK, I assumed this was a new episode, and so I never tried it, and I never saw this special. I still haven't seen it. There's 2 other episodes that I've never seen, because the other 2, when we get to that, I'll explain why. But I think I need to watch these someday. Maybe I'll watch it this year as like a little Christmas treat. But there's also part of me thinking, there's 3 episodes of SpongeBob I've never seen. I almost want to like tuck them away for a rainy day or something. It was like when Dexter's Lab, that banned episode, Rude Removal, was finally uploaded publicly after they'd like showed it at cons for years. The one where it never got aired. I don't think it was banned or pulled from rotation. I just don't think it ever made it to air, because the whole thing is like Dee Dee and Dexter make rude versions of themselves and they just swear throughout the whole episode. Like, it's censored, but I don't think Cartoon Network was fully on board with that idea. I can see why, because, you know, that would get you into a lot of trouble with family groups, and it's like not worth the hassle for the network to deal with all that. I personally think they should be riskier, but, you know, when that kind of like funding is involved, I can understand why they're afraid to do stuff like this. And obviously, that was like a new episode of old Dexter's Lab, because that's another series for me where post-movie episodes, post-renewal, were not as good anymore, and you definitely can tell when you're younger. Like, kids aren't stupid, they do pick up on when something isn't quite as strong as it used to be. Powerpuff Girls was exactly the same. Anything that gets renewed after it had already run its course, it just never has the same vibe to it. And yeah, it was weird seeing that again. That was like a lost episode of like peak Dexter's Lab of my childhood. And like, I almost feel like these 3 episodes of SpongeBob that I have never seen, didn't see them growing up, haven't seen them now. I don't know if it would feel weird to rewatch them. Like, they recently just found the that I didn't even know about until recently, the SpongeBob Got Milk commercial, and that aired in early 2001, so that's season 2. That's not even before the initial run of SpongeBob had ended. That is super early days. And it was weird. It's like surreal seeing that, because it is like a lost episode, even though it was only like a minute long. There's something very precious about seeing that old style again with new footage, or at least footage that hasn't been seen for 21 years. Isn't that wild? So yeah, there's something about, I spent so long discussing Christmas Who for an episode I've never seen. But yeah, there's something about those 3 episodes where it's almost like I almost don't want to watch them, but maybe I will watch Christmas Who this year. Clams. C for clams. Again, it's not bad. I really like the setting. I like that they bring them out to this dingy fishing boat. You get a lot of like muddy, dirty colours that you don't really get in the SpongeBob scenery. So the change of pace is nice. But I don't know, again, something about these clams is season 3, isn't it? It might be 2. Off the top of my head, I feel like it's 3. But again, there's just something about these that got a little... The humour wasn't really enough to carry the episode. You know, I don't know, I can't really put into words what it is about these slightly later ones. Yeah, again, not bad, just average, you know, C for average, that kind of, yeah. Club SpongeBob. That's definitely got to be, I'm going to put it at the end of S. That's a great episode. Again, 3, isn't it? So 3 does have some strong ones. I remember that's the one where they get flung into the woods and they have to consult the magic conch shell to know what decisions they should make next. Great episode. Again, can only say that it's funny. I like the jokes. I like how the characters bounce off each other. I love Squidward's rising anger in that episode. All around, really good episode. Oh no, Culture Shock. Oh, I like this one. I just rewatched this one recently, actually. Don't know if it's strong enough for an S. I'll say a strong A. I really like the animation in this episode. Season 1 has a real nice emphasis on really distorting its characters, do a lot of squash and stretch. And again, I think that comes from the Rocko's Modern Life style. There's some really nice little subtle animation movements. Like, SpongeBob is very bouncy in this episode. Squidward also has that amazing interpretive dance he does to the techno music. It's a really nice episode to just watch. It's funny enough. It's actually not super comedic. It is quite slice of life, I guess. You just get like the occasional gag, and the whole thing is just more nice to watch, I guess, than it is funny, but like in a good way. But yeah, you can just watch this for the visuals, and it's a really entertaining episode. You get a lot of nice visual gags, a lot of nice animation. You get some good shady on SpongeBob at one point when he like does the amazing Mr. Absorbency talent, where he just, as Squidward puts it, engorges himself with water. He gets a dark shady on him to emphasize how he's full of moisture, I guess. But it has a nice look to it, yeah. It's funny, it's likable, it looks good. I like Culture Shock, strong A. Oh, this is the bubble stand title card music, isn't it? Yeah, doing time. Again, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to put this in a C, I think. I didn't think there'd be so many episodes it'd be so C. C for critical about. Yeah, I really like Mrs. Puff as a character, and I think she could definitely carry a whole episode by herself, but just not this one. I don't know. It's nice that she got a Day in the Limelight episode to show off her character. Again, her voice actress is fantastic. Yeah, I just think it was kind of a forgettable one for me. Nothing bad, just like, you know, just a bit... Mediocre is way too harsh. Also related to that, when I was a kid, I thought mediocre was like an offensive word because of, I think it's the episode Plankton, where he takes control of SpongeBob and busts through Squidward's house. And when he's like, SpongeBob, what are you doing? And he turns around and Plankton's voice says, "Shut your mouth, you mediocre clarinet player." And Squidward just goes, "Mediocre?" That made me think, because I was small and stupid, mediocre was like an expletive. I thought that was something that people would be really offended about, and so like for a few years afterwards, I just thought that was something you shouldn't say, and I never questioned, you know, why in that case it was in a cartoon. But yeah, the logic in my brain at the time just thought, oh, Squidward is really upset by being called mediocre. That's really bad, you know. So yeah, SpongeBob has had some impact on my life in some way. So these other episodes now are, I think it was, oh god, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've gone through only 18 episodes and it's been nearly 40 minutes. Oh, maybe this will run into a few hours actually. I wonder if I'm gonna get actually to my planned stream today. Dumped. Oh, this episode always just made me sad as a kid. Oh. I don't think it's bad enough for a D, but I'm gonna sandwich it between these two. Because just like seeing SpongeBob really sad that Gary wasn't paying attention to him anymore and Patrick was really like reveling in it. It just kind of made me more sad than it did amused. I don't know, it's just... It's not even, again, like it's a horribly written episode. It just didn't really hit the comedic beats for me. Didn't as a kid, still doesn't really now. I don't know. So yeah, a low C for that one, for Dumped. Dying for Pie. Mid S. Yeah. Excellent episode. Just the whole thing of like Squidward think he's killed SpongeBob and he wants them to have a nice last day together. You get a lot of good gags out of that scenario. Yeah, I like this one. Again, that's the only thing I can really say about that. Yeah, it's strong. The problem with putting stuff in Esther is it's like, the ones I like less, I can find more to discuss, and the ones I like, I'm just like, in S because it good. So, that's all I can say about Dying for Pie. If you've seen it, you know why it's good, you know why you'd agree with that. Very funny episode. What have we... Employee of the Month. B? Yeah, it was okay. Well, you know, it's kind of early on, so sometimes you gotta hit the skids a little bit. I do think it's funny just how competitive and vindictive SpongeBob gets in this episode. Just because he gets paranoid about Mr. Krabs getting the idea in his head that Squidward will actually win it this month. Yeah, just to make him work harder. And SpongeBob actually gets very antagonistic in this one. It's like one of the rare occasions where Squidward isn't, you know, in the wrong here. And SpongeBob isn't being like the little innocent. He's being a little pesky little guy in this episode. This has some good visual gags. I enjoy it. It's a very, you know, more chaotic one. Yeah, B. You know, nothing huge. Definitely not bad either. A B seems about right. Fools in April. Again, an episode I didn't see much as a kid. Definitely not D. Get that out of there. Because it only airs on the 1st of April, and it was always a treat to see this one. Strong A, I think first A, yeah. Because, you know, this one again, it's funny. I like Squidward trying to apologise to SpongeBob because he realised he went too far. The bit where Squidward pulls the trash can off him and he's just like in a cylindrical shape, looking really sorry for himself. And Squidward goes, "April Fool's, you little sausage," was just always really funny to me as a kid and still is. I don't know why. There's just something that really gets me about that in particular. It's so mean. Because like I said, you know, I don't mind when humour does get a bit mean-spirited. Maybe not when it's like super out of character and like constant, it's like really relentless. But Squidward is that kind of guy. And there's just something about him pointing at this really like, it's how pathetic SpongeBob looks as a little trash sausage, just really sad, like his nose is pressed in, he's like about to burst into tears. I don't know, it's like, it's so mean that it just becomes really funny. It's just so tragic. And I like Squidward trying to apologise at the end, and then it turns out SpongeBob was pranking him all along, because, you know, like as we've said, he's a little bit of a rascal, like in Employee of the Month. So that is going in definitely an A tier. Fungus Among Us. Oh. It's kind of sus. Oh, I almost missed Frankendoodle. Hello. This is one of the ones, I only had one home copy of SpongeBob as a kid, and it was the Halloween DVD, and this was on there. So, those 8 episodes in particular, I have such a strong fondness for, such a strong nostalgia. They are like burnt into my brain. And this one's great. You know, Doodle Bob is such a good one-off character. It's funny. I like his "he-my-me-I" voice. I like the live-action sequence with Mr. Lawrence at the beginning. I didn't ever know that was Mr. Lawrence when I was a kid. I knew it was his voice, but I didn't know what ADR was, obviously, because I was small. And I thought Mr. Lawrence Plankton was dubbing over just some like random actor on the boat. I didn't realize it was also him. I like... Oh, S? I think it's definitely an S tier. Look how many are in S already. I could never be a critic because I just like what I like and don't like what I don't like. Some really true philosopher statements right there. But yeah, Frankendoodle. Fantastic episode. Fun. Again, it's got a fantastic song. I think the plot of Plankton trying to be friends with SpongeBob just to get him on his side is great. I like the climax when they're in the cinema. It's got to be another S. Maybe below Frankendoodle? Actually, you know what? Let's put Arg a bit further down. Dying for Pie 2. I don't know if these will like be fully indicative of how I feel about their ratings on the ranks, but they're kind of like loosely where I think they are. Yeah, fun. It's a fun episode. So whereabouts are we? Gary takes a bath. Well, here we go. Here's the other episode that I have never seen, so I can't truly rate it. I've seen moments from it, and it was one that I always assumed was a newer episode. I say newer, again, I mean like 15 years ago. But But I thought it was post-movie because season 2 is quite high definition. And I only saw it years afterwards. I just took it for granted that was a post-movie episode, and it's not. It's because it's the twin episode to an episode that was banned. So I never saw Gary Takes a Bath as a kid. It's so weird that there's only one episode, 2 technically, that have been banned on UK television. And I know at least one of the reasons was because of Gary Takes a Bath. It's because there's a joke where SpongeBob is trying to pretend they're playing a little pirate game. He puts 2 bars of soap on the ground and says, "Doubloons, don't drop them," because that's a good joke. It's very odd hearing that kind of implication from sweet little old SpongeBob. But that is one of the reasons it got banned off UK television, because that is too creepy to say in a cartoon for kids. So I've never seen that one. I can't rate it. What have we got here? I think the next one up is Grandma's Kisses. This one always made me super sad as a kid, so just for that, I'm gonna put it in low C. I know it sounds really judgmental, but this one just always made me really upset. It was first it starts with the weird idea that everyone is making fun of this guy for loving his grandma. And I think any episode where a character was unfairly getting way more attention than somebody else, because watching SpongeBob slowly apparently lose his grandma's focus and love in favor of Patrick, who is okay with staying being a kid while he thinks he should grow up. The whole sequence where he just wants to be a kid again, and he's going I want to wear diapers, I want to ride in my wagon. It's supposed to be funny, and as an adult I see why, but as a kid it just made me sad, because I was thinking, yeah, I get it. So I don't know, it was never that funny an episode to me. I like the freeform jazz joke in it. Everybody likes that joke. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of a weaker one for me, so it's going in C. Nothing is really in D yet. That's okay, honestly, really. It's a good sign that nothing is low enough. But Grandma's Kisses kind of teetery on it. Graveyard Shift. Again, this is one of the episodes I have on the DVD. I have some nostalgia bias. Those 2 title cards look similar. Is it an A or an S? I think it's got to be an S. I know most of the episodes are in the highest tier, but yeah, I think it's got to be an S. Just because, again, that's another gag a second one. I remember even as a kid it was a little annoying when they did the extended, almost Family Guy joke of SpongeBob screaming for 30 seconds straight. Even as a kid that wasn't really funny to me, it did get a bit annoying. But that's a great episode. It's got a good atmosphere when it's at night and it's creepy, but in that way that still feels kind of safe, you're still kind of in on the bit as a kid. I like Squidward's story about the hash singing slasher, the incredibly bizarre Nosferatu ending that no child, unless they were super into 1920s art house films, would have understood, and yet it works. That's how a reference works, is that you don't feel left out, even if you don't understand what it's a shout out to. As long as it works in context and it's funny or it's meaningful or it doesn't seem super out of character, that's how you get reference humor to work, because everybody loves and quotes and remembers the Nosferatu moment, even if they've never seen that movie. So, Graveyard Shift, great episode. Whereabouts am I now? Help Wanted. Oh, Help Wanted. Wait, hold on, so we can't talk about Help Wanted yet. I haven't done this one. Hold on, is okay. I like that one, that he goes on a bit of a rampage in Bikini Bottom. Maybe a B. Yeah, it's not one of the greatest ones. But I enjoy it. I think it's solely in like a good above average sort of scale. I don't have a lot to say about it. I like seeing the chaos he causes around the place, and I like the whole like the wee woo moment with Patrick. I'm being really vague on what these moments are, but I'm assuming if you're watching this stream, like of all streams especially, you like at least have somewhat of a familiarity with SpongeBob, so you probably have an idea of what jokes I'm referencing. But if you don't, take it from me, great episode. Now we can talk about Help Wanted. Oh, Help Wanted. I mean, it seems weird to put the very first episode something and the pilot in an S tier, because most things don't start off that strong, but I think it's got to go there. I love the pilot's animation style. I like the way it introduces you to the characters. SpongeBob's optimism is really sweet. I kind of like how slightly low and sort of mostly just like nasally voices in this one. He's just kind of a bit more. He just sounds like a little dweeb, you know? The song, the Tiny Tim song that they use at the end, that they kind of Mickey Mouse with a bit because he does some of the Krabby Patty actions to the beat. What a weird and enjoyable start to a series. So yeah, I like its slightly underwatery, desaturated, slightly askew look. I think the choice of song to end out the episode is great. It's an incredibly, you know, amazing opening to a brand new series. Gets off on the right foot immediately. So it's got to be an S tier. I don't think I've missed anything from these earlier ones, right? Boating Buddies? No, I think I'm confusing it with New Student Starfish. So Gary's New Toy, Gary in Love, Ghoulfuls, Giant Squidward. Yeah, I don't think I've missed anything. So the next one should be Home Sweet Pineapple with the nematodes. You know, this one is always... I remember jokes from it, but it's always like a slightly less memorable one to me. I remember the opening with the nematodes eating everything. I remember them trying to rebuild SpongeBob's pineapple, and Squidward celebrating that he's going to go away, and then his parents come and pick him up. So like I can describe it beat for beat, but I don't remember it being like one of the funnier ones, and that's only because it is such a strong competition in this series. You know, this had such an amazing glut of incredibly hilarious episodes, so I think that's the only reason. If I was going season by season, I think probably like Home Sweet Pineapple would be higher, but I think out of 3 seasons, that's why it's in like kind of an average, which is definitely like no bad sign. If the only reason it's in average is because every other episode was better, that's just like an indicator of an incredibly good series. So what have we got now? Hooky! I love Hooky. There's something about this one that I don't know whether they reran it a lot, because it's not one of the ones that I owned on DVD. I enjoy this episode. Maybe low S. I think you know what? It's my stream and my tier list. I'm gonna give it a low S, because even if maybe other people might not agree with that one, I just enjoy the experience of watching Hooky. I think it's a funny concept. I like the world building of SpongeBob is the thing as well. I like there's a legitimate threat of them being fished up to the surface. It's just a really funny thing to put in there. Just stuff like them having like the flower clouds, their vehicles being boatmobiles. I like this world, even though it's cartoony. It does have like obviously the knowledgeable marine biology influence of Steven Hillenburg, who put a lot of heart into it, both in his passion for cartooning and for his studies. So I just like, yeah, I like the whole world that Hooky presents. I think it's funny that they open this world building into the concept of being, you know, fished and put in gift shops and dying. I think that's a funny bit of dark humour. I like Mr. Krabs being kind of like a guardian to SpongeBob. trying to steer them out of trouble like they're bad little kids or something. Of course, when you're a kid, nudity is always funny, so SpongeBob not wanting to take his pants off in front of the girls at the restaurant, that's always entertaining, and it still is now, so, yeah, Hooky is definitely an S for me. Oh my god, House Fancy. Isn't that the toenail one? Yeah, if this was a tier list for all episodes, which, God forbid, that would take you hours upon hours, I'm pretty confident where that would be. I'm with stupid. Well. We have our first, when I get to the top of this list is so long, we have our first D on the tier list. Never liked this episode. And, didn't like it at the time as a kid. Again, just too obnoxious and mean-spirited. Always really made my... it sounds too extreme to say made my blood boil as a kid. I wasn't that, emotionally involved in it. But it just annoyed me that, the character that was supposed to be really likable and SpongeBob's best friend turned on him so quickly. I just felt it was annoying. And I think when you're a kid, because you do experience that kind of sense of powerlessness and not a lot, you want kind of escapism from the cartoons you watch. You don't want to see somebody just get beaten down and mocked. And I think that kind of humor loses its shine if that's too real for you, I guess, because kids go through that lack of autonomy a lot through their lives. And gotta say, now that I'm older, it hasn't, to say aged well would imply that it was good at the time, and it wasn't. SpongeBob's presentation of himself is clearly supposed to be some kind of mental thing, and it's a very cringe-worthy episode to think about for that reason, because it's just oh, not only is it not funny, it's borderline offensive, if not completely offensive. It's just no, just all around kind of weak episode, and that's why it's got to go in D. Yeah. I like when the music actually fits where I'm ending an episode. I'm your biggest fanatic, though, so from a bad episode to a really good episode. I always like this one, when they go out with Kevin the Sea Cucumber and try basically, again, this is mean, but in a really funny way because SpongeBob's so oblivious to it. Strong A. Strong A, I think. I couldn't tell you why it's not an S, but it still is good enough, I think, to be up there in the first two tiers. I like this one. I like that they kind of go out of the location, further out of the Bikini Bottom town, and they're doing all of this, these jellyfish trials that just backfire on Kevin. I like the wah 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 gag of the gaggle of anchovies that are with him, like his little posse. I like the fact that apparently, and I don't know if this is true, so don't quote me on it, it might be a factoid, the little nubbin crown that Kevin has on his head that gets given to SpongeBob is apparently his nuts. That's a sea cucumber's reproductive organs. If that's true, and it may not be, it may be misinformation, if that's true, and Steve Hillenburg would know if that's true because he's an expert, that's a funny joke. It's horrible in the funniest way. So I like I'm your biggest fanatic. I like the convention setting, I like the outdoorsy setting, it's funny. That's definitely a strong A. I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna take a little break for a drink, because, oh my god, I'm already so I haven't even started the stream fully yet, and it's been an hour, and I've already worn myself out info dumping about SpongeBob for an hour. But it's definitely the most enjoyable way to wear yourself out. So what is this one? In Spongiac. That one's creepy. I like the title cards, even if the episode quality may not be reflective of that. Oh, I missed Idiot Box, I think. Or did I just do that? Either way, Idiot Box was that was the final episode on the Halloween DVD that I had. And there was always a bittersweet sense of this is the end of the DVD. Even though I'd gone through 7 episodes already, it just wasn't enough. As a kid, you just want more, you want SpongeBob to go on forever. maybe we don't want SpongeBob to go on forever because that's how you get season 18, and that's how you get this. So yeah, where did I put it? Where's Idiot Box? Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, Idiot Box. It's amazing how much mileage, and it just goes to show you how skilled the crew of SpongeBob that they got so much mileage out of them playing a box for 11 minutes. It's a really good episode. I like how Squidward just gets slowly driven to jealousy through them having so much fun, and it's always nice when they're so. That's what kind of is missing, I think, and this is no revelation. For the post-movie episodes, is that they're aware that they annoy Squidward, while the humour came from them being just so damn happy that they don't realise that Squidward hates them 90% of the time and is not their best friend. That's what's so funny about the dynamic. They're the wacky ones and he's the straight man. And that's what's so good about Idiot Box, is that he eventually gets pulled onto their side just because they're having so much infectious fun that Squidward can't stand that he's not experiencing the same thing. And I think that's a funny character dynamic, so it's gotta be another S, I think. Maybe about yeah, I think it's pretty high actually. I've got to put it about 3. And the music is coming to an end, so I will take a quick break on this tier list, get a little drink, and I'll come back to rate more episodes. See you in a little while. Should I leave you with this? No, I'll leave you with this. See you in a few minutes. Okay, back, ready to do, I would assume, the remaining half of this tier list. Are we halfway through it? I have no idea. But I'm ready. I'm hydrated. I needed it. So, how many episodes have I gone through now? Not that many. Oh, I see. I thought the amount of episodes in general were intimidating. I didn't account for how many there would be in just from 1 to 3. There is a lot of them. So where did I leave off? I had an accident. You know, again, maybe a high C on the high seas, as it were. Again, there's just something about these. I can't say later episodes because later episodes would be like now in 2022. It's funny. I wonder how many times I've said it's funny in the stream to describe an episode. You know, the beginning where he's doing the SpongeBob is doing the sandboarding. He's doing moves like, I think the Grumpy Squidward is from this episode. He bursts through the kids, Sandman, and turns around and goes like, life is extreme as you want to make it. And they just stand there and go, maybe we didn't sing it right. And of course, that episode where he goes past the guy, gives him a lollipop and a kid's hat, and he just goes, I can explain. It's good jokes. That very weird joke at the end where a guy in a live-action gorilla costume beats him around in a sack. And then it's so surreal that it cuts to a live-action shot of a family shaking their heads and turning it off. It works, but I don't know. It is just kind of a C for me. Again, I think it's just a case of there being so many, like, stronger episodes in this show. I think it's just a matter that other stuff is better. So, yeah, it goes in C. Imitation crabs. Again, you know, I'm just quoting episodes at this point, but ravioli, give me the... No? Is that imitation crabs? Wait. Is that imitation crabs? Or is it the episode where they think he's a robot? I actually can't remember. I think the Gears is the robot one, isn't it? You know what, A, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, and it is the one where they think he's a robot, that has some jokes in it that I really enjoy. I think the whole sequence where SpongeBob's going through the robot test and uses Squidward as examples, where he's just like, Squidward just wants to tell you that he loves you. Get back to work, Mr. Squidward. And of course the one where it's like, Squidward's father never hugged him. Isn't that sad? It's like Squidward can hug himself during his break. I just think there's such good conversations between the characters. It's a really funny episode. So if that is this one, and of course the beep boop boop bop radio request. And the music that they use for that Electric Zoo is very catchy. It's a shame that's maybe I should put it in the background at one point. It's a shame it's not on this this relaxing, chill SpongeBob music compilation. Although I guess it's not very chill. Yeah, if Imitation Crabs is the one I'm thinking of, I can't think of what the title for the Plankton one is then. But if it is indeed the robot one, oh, and of course, yeah, I assume it's the robot one, just going by the title card background. But if it's not, and I see the title of the Plankton one later on, I'll like maybe I'll swap those around. I don't know. But for now, it's going in a decent A. So I was a teenage Gary. It's on the Halloween DVD, so of course it's very special to me. I love this one. And it's probably going... maybe I'll put it in the high A. I don't think it's good enough to me to be an S. But I do love it, just because it has the most horrifying visuals. It's a genuinely really good, scary episode, especially when you're a small child. I loved stuff that gave me, like, scares while still having a sort of like safe sense of security, because it's like it's only a TV show, it's not real. I'm safe in my own home. I'm just watching this. I could turn it off at any point. And I liked stuff that had really creepy visuals to it. Like I was a huge fan of Courage the Cowardly Dog, and I think a lot of kids, depending on their sensitivities, and it's weird because I was a very sensitive kid, enjoy being frightened by TV shows and books and, you know, games, other types of media. They really enjoy that safe sense of experimentation with their fear threshold. And so I really liked scary episodes or scary series of things. And I like just the whole shot where SpongeBob is slowly morphing into a snail, and it's like a riff on An American Werewolf in London. It is creepy. Again, even if you don't get the reference, it works because it's so visually horrifying yet engaging. I like that episode. I like its ending with them singing on the fence like alley cats. It's a really enjoyable one. Still only in an A, but again, only because there's just stronger episodes in this show. So what comes after I was a teenage Gary? Jellyfish Hunter. Is Jellyfish Hunter... Oh god, my memory now. I feel like an old man recounting my SpongeBob youth. Is Jellyfish Hunter the one where Mr. Krabs demands SpongeBob fishes a bunch of jellyfish to make the Krabby Patty jam? Because if so, maybe like a strong B. If it's indeed the episode I'm thinking of, the song is really catchy. The jelly always looked very appetizing to me. They knew. Okay, there's a lot of foods in cartoons that I grew up watching that are objectively gross, and yet I was drawn to. Make as many English people jokes as you wish, because that is justified at this point. I thought the burgers that they made on Ed, Edd and Eddy looked delicious, and I still want to drink them. I don't know why. I can't explain why. I really just hope that I'm not the only person in the universe that feels this way. I regret to say the world, even the universe, because I don't think anybody on this planet would agree with me. I would hope that they do. I want to make and I want to drink those burgers through a straw. But you know, back to Jellyfish Hunter. That jam on the burgers, on the Krabby Patties, looked weirdly good. But yeah, as for the rest of the episode, it's fine. You know, it's funny seeing these episodes where Mr. Krabs was actually kind of a huge villain throughout many of these plots. He was like just a thoroughly unscrutable, awful person, and it's kind of hilarious when the show pushes him from just merely a bit of a cheap old man, an old businessman, you know, to just like he's just straight up an animal abuser in this episode, and it's like a metaphor for exploiting workers, and like it's a whole thing, isn't it? So yeah, I'd say a B. It has its funny moments. I like the song. I want to eat the blue Krabby Patties, but yeah, nothing really apart from that. Jellyfishing. Yeah, I mean, you just think of one thing when you think of this episode, don't you? Firmly grasp it! It's an okay one. Maybe like here. Not like an average because there was anything bad in it, but I think apart from those occasional moments, it's kind of a slow one. Not a lot happens in it. It's kind of definitely not bad enough to be called boring or anything like that. But and I'm saying this as somebody who really likes very gentle, mundane slice of life stuff, so it sounds kind of hypocritical to criticize something for not doing enough. But yeah, it's funny. Excuse me. It has its moments that are really memorable, but then there's a lot of it that isn't. I kind of just remember, like, they want Squidward to go jellyfishing, he doesn't want to. He accidentally swallows a jellyfish and cycles off a cliff. Then he's in traction, then he's in a wheelchair covered in bandages, and they force him to go out with him. it kind of just all blends together, this one, you know. I guess it's not poorly written, it's just kind of samey. So I think that's why it goes in average to me. I've got another jellyfish episode, I think. Jellyfish Jam. This one's good. Again, this is a bit samey and repetitive. It's just a long extended sequence of SpongeBob having the jellyfish in his house that keeps playing techno music. My tier is getting interrupted by noises outside. I feel like I need to... I don't know if it should be a B or an A. Because, I'm trying to, like, quickly run through the episode in my mind like a sped-up GIF. I'm trying to think of what happens. High B, I think. Because although the Stadium Rave A sequence is gorgeous, not very epileptic friendly, already kind of like eye strain friendly. Really, they did not care about flashing at the 90s to turn of the millennium, did they? But yeah, that whole sequence is animated gorgeously. I like the jokes with Squidward criticising SpongeBob's new pet. But yeah, apart from that, it's another one that kind of bleeds together. The jellyfishing episodes are a bit like that, weirdly. So yeah, I think that puts it in a high B for me. Oh, Saxa Boogie is playing in the background. I always associate this with Strangler episode. Just one bite. You know what? I think just for the ending alone, where SpongeBob pulls that really smug face, which is so hilariously animated. I just think the face he pulls, the way they really push his expression, and the little lean he does towards Squidward when he's still denying it, I think that elevates it into S tier. Maybe a lower S tier bordering on A, but that's a funny episode. I think that has some strong moments in it. I like Squidward doing the like that. It's good for your soul, please. I have no soul, and then like help appears behind him and stuff like that. I like SpongeBob trying to constantly get into it with the Krabby Patty. Like he comes out of the toilet cubicle with one. It's a funny one. Yeah, I think definitely an S, like an S bordering on A. I get S minus, you know. So what else is up next? Karate Choppers. You know, people always kind of rate this one a bit low of the classics. I like it. I like a SpongeBob and Sandy episode. I think they work off each other really well. I think it's cute, the kind of relationship they have with each other. Like they're really good best friends, and they're so at odds, but they have so much in common that they get along. Low A, because I do agree why people aren't really into it. It is another one where the story kind of blends together a bit. I like this one. I don't know, there's just something about it I'm very personally fond of. It is because I like the Sandy SpongeBob pairing in an episode. Again, like I said, I think their characters work well together. It's funny how this is just like also an extended metaphor for a sex addiction. I know that sounds like I'm doing one of those like childhood ruin, did you know kind of things, but it is like they're told they can't do it anymore, and they keep like trying to not bring up the subject while looking really sweaty and staring at each other. And then at one point Sandy goes like karate, SpongeBob goes right now, and looks around really coyly. It just sounds like they want to have public sex. It's the 90s or possibly 2000 at this point. I'm not sure when it aired. They were just kind of about that in cartoons at the time. I just think it's funny how it does sound like one of those things that's like, oh my, I can't believe they did this. My childhood is ruined. Did you know? But that is actually what happens in the episode. So yeah, I think a low A. It's a good one to me. Man, where out? There's so many. I hope like maybe more of them are like newer episodes that I don't have to rate. Crabborg. Oh, Crabborg is the robot one. Imitation Crabs was correct. Okay. So that... Okay, so Imitation Crabs in that case. I've obviously talked about Crabborg. That takes its place. Imitation Crabs... I'm sorry, I think it's got to go in a B. After putting it up there in A tier. Yeah, Imitation Crabs is one of the Plankton episodes that I wasn't really as into. He was always a lot of fun when he turned up, and they didn't use him much in the first 3 seasons. When you look back, I think he appeared like 19 times throughout all of them, which is a really weird thought. But, yeah, I like ravioli. Ravioli, give me the formuoli. Apart from that, it's kind of a forgettable one to me. So, yeah, it's gotta go in B tier. I'm sorry, Plankton. I like your episodes, but, no, I don't have a lot to say about that one. Again, nothing wrong with it, just kind of an average one. It's just that there are better episodes in this series. Krusty Krab training video. Is that where we are? Oh, hang on. No, there's Krabby Land. Almost didn't see that one up there. Krabby Land is, again, I rewatched this one just the other day. I don't think it's annoying enough to be D, because D's are the episodes that I really just couldn't really stand to rewatch again. It's a low C. I don't know. I feel like I've said this a lot to the ones I'm trying to explain my position on. But, yeah, there's just something... I've just found Mr. Krabs kind of insufferable in this one. I like SpongeBob's line of, "You promised those kids Krabby the Clown, but all I saw was Sheepy the Cheapskate." I think it's not worth the build-up to that, though, because... I don't know, I just didn't really... None of the comedic beats really hit this one to me as a kid. Again, it's one that was never really memorable to me even at the time. It's an okay episode. I mean, it's obviously like, you know, in C tier, so it's like okay minus, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about that one. It's just okay. But now, Krusty Krab training video. I loved the unusual format of this one as a kid. I like that I didn't really get this at the time. I got an idea of what they were trying to do, but now that I'm older and I've seen a few, I like the hoopla. Again, hoopla is one of the great jokes from this. I like its 90s like cheesy employee training video framing. And that may sound like a lot of hoopla. I think that's got to go in an S. Like maybe a low S. Maybe somewhere about like here. Maybe here. Oh, it gets so hard once you get to the really strong ones. Yeah, I think the fake out was really funny to me. It does belong in S tier. It's a really funny episode. And again, I've said that about so many. That's the problem when you're talking about a comedic series, is that you're just gonna end up saying, yeah, it was funny, and it was. The fake out to me as a kid was like both frustrating, because you know it's never going to really happen, but it's kind of like a slightly disappointing moment where the credits hit, and it's like, oh, I don't get to know the Krabby Patty secret formula. I just think that the build up to that, it pays off really well. I like SpongeBob being this model employee. I like the music that they use throughout this. That's never used in another episode, because it really gives it that cheesy music feel to it. Yeah, that's a fantastic episode, and that's got to be another S tier of the many S tier episodes that I've selected. I can't decide really. I just like a lot of these too much. Life of Crime. I think I'm gonna have to put this in like an average one again. I don't know. I've like explained my stance on so many of these episodes with I don't know. I like this one where they do like they steal a balloon on Free Balloon Day, and then they feel like they can't return it, so they flee Bikini Bottom. It's one again where I like specific gags from it more than I do the entire episode. You know, the whole sequence of Patrick eating his chocolate bar first and not realizing and thinking like SpongeBob ate it. It's a good one, but not good enough. Again, I feel like I have to keep justifying my low placements on my opinion tier list, but it's more like it's good, and in any other like season comparison, any other show comparison, it'll be higher. But everything else is just a slightly better episode than that one, so that's where it goes, I think, for me. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3. Now, the only problem with these is I don't I don't remember which plots the Mermaid Man's and Barnacle Boys, all of those are. Is the third one Man Ray? Because if the third one's Man Ray, then that definitely goes up high. But it might also be the Dirty Bubble one, I'm not sure. Or it's the one where Barnacle Boy is sick of being treated as a kid. Yeah, the problem with these having similar names is that I never remember which the numbered ones are. Hold on, I might look this up real quick, just so I know which one this is. I want to say it is the Man Ray one. It is the Man Ray one. Oh, in that case, S. Again, look at how many are in the S tier. What can you do when a series is as funny as SpongeBob, though? But the voice actor they picked for Man Ray, it's funny because he's such like an established theatrical actor. It's a funny person to see turn up in SpongeBob. The whole sequence of him getting increasingly frustrated at Patrick going, "It's not my wallet," is one of its most memorable, distinctive scenes. It's got to go in an S. I'm putting so many in the S tier. It actually doesn't feel that special anymore. But I can't help it. I can't not put these in S because they're also very special to me. S for special. S for super SpongeBob. You know, that's where it's got to go. So Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 3 goes in the S. Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2. This is the one where SpongeBob gets the conch shell, isn't it? Man Ray is played by, is his name Reese? Let me check that real quick. It's like an established, I think he's a Welsh theatre stage actor. He actually didn't come back for his second appearance. I don't know whether he was like, he had schedule conflicts or he'd retired. But he's only in that first appearance. And it's such a funny voice to come out of a SpongeBob character. Oh, he's not called Reese at all. Oh, yep, John Rhys Davis. I was mixing up his last name with his first, apparently. John Rhys Davis was actually he was in Indiana Jones. He was Gimli in Lord of the Rings. Oh my god, yeah, and there you see Man Ray in SpongeBob SquarePants. What an odd casting choice. I just want to know. Actually, doesn't this episode predate Lord of the Rings? I think or it was released around the same time. Because Lord of the Rings is like 2001, 2002, isn't it? The first two, anyway. I feel like this episode is round about that point, which is actually hilarious to put it that way. So yeah, he's a big screen and stage actor. Just a funny person to cast in SpongeBob. I guess they had that kind of star power by them. So yeah, it's Gimli, apparently. There you go. So Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 2. Yeah, I think that's the one where he gets the conch shell for winning like a prize. He made a sculpture made out of Krabby Patties. I always like when Mermaid and Barnacle Boy show up. I like their voice actors in this. I like Ernest Borgnine and Tim Conway as these guys. I think they have like a good bickering like relationship with each other. I rewatched this one about a week ago. I wasn't super into this one. I just think like SpongeBob is too annoying. It doesn't really go anywhere. Oh, it's got to be a low B. I almost feel guilty putting anything from season 1 to 3 in a lower way, but you know, it's like you can't look back on everything with rose-tinted glasses. I like, obviously, it's preference. A lot of people will really like Mermaid and Barnacle Boy too. Okay, so let me check these other episode numbers real quick, because I just do not remember what these ones are. It really ground to a halt with the Mermaid and Barnacle Boy episodes because I have no idea which numbers apply to which plot. Alright, let's check that real quick. So, Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 4 is... Oh, that's Wumbo! Okay, I mean... You know... Where else does Wumbo go, apart from... So it's the one where... All I saw was Shrink's Town, as... That was just all I saw in the synopsis, and I was like, oh, it's Wumbo. I'm gonna put it in A rather than S, just because I think the first half of the episode is good. I like Patrick obviously doing the Wumbo bit. You've said it to M for Minnie, you've got to set it to W for Wumbo. And the bit where Squidward's just looking down at the ground and wondering, I wonder if a fall from this height will kill me. It's one of those jokes that you don't really appreciate as a kid because it just kind of like washes over you. When you get older, you think that's a funny, dark thing to put in a children's cartoon. But after that, it kind of just fell off to me. Again, first half good, second half kind of weaker. So, like, isn't there a bit where like they all shrink and go into SpongeBob's body and just destroy his organs and stuff? That always felt weirdly cruel to me. I'd put it a low A in that case. Just A for the first half, below average for the second half. You know, that seems like a fair section to put it in. The first Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. So the first one that introduces us to these guys. I think that one's okay. The end of the episode is banned. Wow, is it like for gore? Because it does get pretty, like even before SpongeBob got into a very gruesome visuals as it does in later seasons. The toenail, Splinter, that kind of stuff. I can see why some networks might take like a sensitive look at that one. It never made me uncomfortable, but it just felt mean. Just like watching somebody kick a puppy, you know. SpongeBob doesn't deserve that treatment. Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 1. I like this episode. I think I'm going to put it at a high B. I don't think it's anything spectacular, but I do like being introduced to them. I think, as I said before, Ernest Borgnine and Tim Conway's performances as these two are funny. They've just got like a funny, like Ernest Borgnine in particular does a good, like, he's got such a funny, you know, older confused man voice. Yeah, it's a good introduction to them. It's not one of their most hilarious episodes or one of the most hilarious episodes in general, but it's good enough to be a high average, so I think it's safe there. I think Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy the motion picture is a post 3. I think that's like a later episode, so I'm not going to rate that one. Mermaid and Barnacle Boy 5. I would assume this is the one. This is the Dirty Bubble one, right? Where they all team up as different superheroes. In which case, I liked that one. Again, I think I'm going to make it. I'm going to put it in the lower A's, I think. I really liked the novelty of giving them all superhero identities. Actually, I probably should check that just in case it's not, and I put it in the wrong area. But I think it is. I don't think they made that many episodes based on... Actually, if there's 5, that is quite a lot of episodes. Yes, it is. I'm actually thinking... Okay, so I'm thinking that the episode where Barnacle Boy doesn't want to be treated as a kid anymore, and the episode where they have superhero identities are 2 separate episodes. I didn't actually realize they were the same episode. God, they fit a lot into that one. So yeah, I think I'm fine with that kind of like closer to B from A placement for it, because I did like it. I liked the gimmick of them having superhero costumes and powers. That was fun. The incredibly weird Make Out Reef live action segment. Yeah, I liked when they did that kind of the novelty of bringing live action footage in. That was always a good... I liked the concept that the surface was live action. I think that's a good way to establish the differences in its world. I think it's clever and it's entertaining. So yeah, I think an A would be about where that is. Also, I think it's funny that Squidward apparently had good times on Make Out Reef. I want to know that lore. What's going on there? I didn't know Squidward was such a successful lover. So, whereabouts are we now that we've gone through those Mermaid and Barnacle Boy ones? Missing Identity. This sticks in my mind, probably because it's quite repetitive, but in a good way. But also the bit where SpongeBob is going through his morning routine and Patrick keeps messing it up. The bit where Patrick goes, "Hi, SpongeBob," was absolutely hysterical to me as a kid, because it's like they said boob. They said boob on Nickelodeon. Are you guys hearing? This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Forget Pickle Rick, okay, funniest thing you've ever seen. When you are 9 years old, the word boob is the funniest word you've ever heard. So that really caught me off guard as a kid, and it's always stayed with me. And I think a high A, you know, it's not quite an S, but it's a very good one. And also I remember it kind of like is a testament to how quotable and memorable SpongeBob is, because I remember it being a group project when I was in university, and we were like testing some mic stuff. We're doing audio stuff, doing some like basic questions to test out the audio, and somebody asked what somebody had for breakfast, and they mentioned like, oh, it's the most important meal of the day, and like 6 of us in the room at once in unison went, "The most important meal of the day, serve up Gary's way, pop." And the one person in the room who had never watched SpongeBob just looked around in complete alarm that everyone just said this out of nowhere. It is an indicator of just how much of an impact the show had on people's lives. So that was a nice little moment too. Maybe not for the person who didn't know what was going on. We did explain, and they were like, "Oh, I never watched SpongeBob as a kid." But you know, 6 of us in that room just completely quoted that based on hearing the words "most important meal of the day," and that's got to count for something, I think. So what comes after this? My Pretty Seahorse. I like this one. You know, I can already feel it being kind of an above average. It's got some good jokes in it, like Mr. Krabs putting a kiddie ride, "I can't find the coin slot," and then the implication that it just sticks a coin in its hole. Yeah. And it's got that great bit with Patrick walking up with a board nailed to his head, and SpongeBob tells him to like, get out of here, you dumb animal. So he just sadly walks away in a really bored way. I think that's a good joke. It's weird that people wouldn't let them watch SpongeBob. I can only guess it's because it was annoying, because it wasn't like it's not really offensive, although I just mentioned like the implication of somebody sticking a quarter into a horse's hole, so maybe it's like a little bit. Maybe that was their complaint with it. I think a lot of parents just ban stuff because it's obnoxious and they don't want to watch it. I know a lot of people got Ed, Edd, and Eddy banned in their household when they were growing up because that was a bad influence. It wasn't in mine. Nothing was really banned in my house growing up. Just stuff that was like too old for me, like South Park, stuff that I shouldn't have been watching anyway. And I never tried to. I was a somewhat sensible kid. On the internet, completely different ball game. I got into so many inappropriate Flash cartoons. And stuff like that. But like on the TV, I was good and behaved, so, you know, I was free to watch SpongeBob and Ed, Edd and Eddy. Never tried to watch South Park or anything like that until I was a bit older. Nasty Paddy. Maybe I can see why people might have banned SpongeBob, because this episode, as a kid, I think again, much like Squidward's killing himself joke, I think this really washes over you just how horrific the concept of this episode is. They think they kill someone, and they try to bury him and pretend it never happened. It's just for the entire duration of this episode, they think they're handling a corpse, and that's actually pretty funny, really. Like a mid-A, I think. I know I was just like talking about how funny it was, but yeah, I think this is another one where I can think of a lot of its gags. Like we've been smeckled offed. That's not even a word, and I agree with you. But I think it just goes an A just for how the visuals are really nice. I like that it takes place pretty much mainly at night, and it's got very like green hues. It's very stormy and grim. Has a nice sort of like murky watercolor color palette. Yeah, I can think of some good things to say about it. I think it's a strong A. I think that's where it belongs. I don't think it's one of my like ultimate all-time favorites, so it's not quite an S, but it's definitely not weak enough to be like an average to weak episode. So yeah, an A. A seems about appropriate. A for appropriate. Nature Pants. I never like massively got into this one. I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself so much with these reviews, but it's like, yeah, maybe a high C, unlike the others where I just thought they were a bit, either a bit out of character or a bit too relentlessly mean. Nature Pants isn't, like, it's inoffensive. It just, I don't think it has, like, a lot going for it. I mean, it did give us a lot of memes, like Patrick looking down from the rock, naked SpongeBob looking like exhausted with his hand on his hip. I think a couple of other screen caps are from this episode as well, so it did gift us reaction images and memes. I've got to give it that much. But like in terms of plot and gags and stuff, I don't really remember a whole lot from this one, so I think it kind of like goes safely in the C tier, right about there. Where are we on to now? I think Neptune's Spatula. Again, this is kind of like another one where I like the opening that they're at another convention again, or they're at a museum, aren't they? I just think it's funny when it's nice when they go to a new location and you get kind of like a fresh environment. Lowish B, I guess. Somewhere about here, yeah. I like the introduction of Neptune. It's weird that they gave him a different design later on. I guess they maybe forgot, or I don't know, they just wanted to go in a different direction when he was a more established character. I like his bombastic nature. and the live action footage of Tom Kenny in the shower is pretty good. I always wondered if that, like, when in the episode Suds, when they're going through SpongeBob's like medical, there's footage of him wiping somebody's back in the shower. It clearly, I think it's Tom Kenny. I haven't looked this up, but it looks like him. So I wonder if, like, they shot that shower footage that's in Suds and Neptune Spatula on the same day, and then just decided where they were going to use it. Or maybe, like, these episodes were produced close together. I'm not sure, because, like, I know they're produced in a different order than they were aired. But SpongeBob's airing dates are all kind of all over the place. Even though it was like Nickelodeon's golden child, and it still is, when it first started, they didn't quite know what to do with it, so it kind of like shifts time slots a lot. There was a huge break between, I think, half of season 3, half of the other half of season 3. Yeah, it was a weird one. I think it's only like post-movie where it really started to take up. There was a lot of marketing before then. They had like merchandise, video games, you know. But I think it's only like after the movie came out that it became such a huge Nickelodeon powerhouse. Because before then, they kind of like they just moved it around a lot. They didn't seem to know, you know, when to air it. So Neptune Spatula, yeah, it's an okay episode. I think that one's just pretty good. Naughty Nautical Neighbors. I like how this is the first one where Squidward is really antagonistic. It's the first one you really get to see, like, the really annoyed side of him, and he just deliberately tries to screw up Patrick and SpongeBob's relationship for no real reason. He just feels like they were slightly too loud outside, so he just wants to sit back and cause drama. And I think it makes for a funny plot. So I don't know though if it's strong enough to be like super highly rated to me. Again, it's one of those ones where if it was a rating of season 1, it would be high. But out of all of them, I think I'm going to bring it a little low. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that position. I do like the whole ending sequence of them asking for more water and then just being engorged by the end, and finding each other so funny that they just become friends again. It's another one that, because of its placement, it's really early on. It's like an early season 1 episode. I love the art style. There's something about the art style of season 1 it's so lovely. It's really lively. I like the colours of it, even if like they were originally painted vibrant, and then when they went to air, it was a little more desaturated. Yeah, I just visually, I prefer the episode visually than I do for scripts, I guess. This is the best way I can phrase it. So it kind of goes in a lower A. New Student Starfish. This episode, I mean, I'm gonna, you know what? This episode did kind of annoy me a little bit as a kid. Now the bad opinion police are coming after me. It annoyed me, like, I didn't really like the episode as much where Patrick seemed to just turn into a jerk for no reason, which they really lend into with later seasons. So it always made me feel bad for SpongeBob that he was such a good model student who was getting, like, bearing the brunt of Patrick's bad influence. But it has the 24 exchange in it, which, like, I think about constantly, and I'm sure anyone who's ever watched this episode does, because it is like so relatable to when something is making you laugh and it's not even that funny, and especially in a situation where you can't laugh. I think it's a good little, like, it's a really realistic conversation that I think is very relatable to anyone watching, especially kids, because like kids are always acting up in class and laughing at things they shouldn't and being disruptive. So I think that was very, like, a very identifiable moment for kids watching it, and still me now, honestly. So even though I always felt bad for SpongeBob throughout this whole episode, I think it's funny enough to elevate it to a high B. I'll put it above the jellyfish episodes. I think that I think that's the best place it could be for me, because like half of it wasn't always great to me, but I think the comedic writing improves the episode for sure. It definitely saves it. And when you're looking at a comedic series, that is exactly what you want. So if I see... Oh, Krusty Love! I didn't see you down there. I forgot about this one. I wonder if there's any others I missed now. I might have done. There's just so many of them to look at. All of the beautiful title cards, by the way. I always really loved title cards as a kid. I was really obsessed by the style of them. In anything, not just SpongeBob, but SpongeBob happened to have some really nice ones. But like the really detailed painterly ones like you get in Adventure Time, I think they're really yeah, they're really engaging, nice graphics to look at. But Krusty Love, this is the one with Mrs. Puff, isn't it? I would put this in maybe a low A, because I think this is actually one where the first half is a bit weaker, but the second half is much more hilarious. I think the whole build-up to like poor little SpongeBob being completely hounded all day, being blamed for spending Mr. Krabs' money and just letting loose, and the expression it cuts to on Mr. Krabs when SpongeBob's done with his like swear-filled rant and storms off, and his jaw is just falling on the ground. That's one of my favourite frames that's used in the series. That's such a good take, a good reaction. It's so funny. It's still funny now. And yeah, this is the opposite to some other episodes I've checked out where the first half was good and then it kind of peters off. This is one where the first half is kind of just okay to me, like the setup of it, and it's the second half that's really funny. So I think that puts it in a low A tier, just because there's such a tough competition. I miss title cards too, and credits. You know, I caught SpongeBob on TV here for the first time in years, because I just watch a lot of older cartoons online now, or on like home copies, and they cut the credits off every single broadcast, and you want a moment to like, you know, sit back and like digest something, to appreciate the creators, to listen to the music. You don't want to like immediately be bombarded with commercial breaks, and it is such a shame that they do that now. Like television, you know, as much as I think it's got a lot of years left, television is kind of slowly dying as a format. But I don't want, you know, nobody wants streaming services either, because that's just like cable too. But I guess at least you get to see the credits and stuff on those. So no free rides. The one where SpongeBob gets given his license for extra credit. I don't know where to put this one, because I think I'm maybe an A. I think the more I think about it now, as I like slowly play the episode through my head, I think it is a pretty hilarious one. I do enjoy the bit where Mrs. Puff has stolen the boatmobile and SpongeBob's trying to get it back, and she drives through like different hazards, and the last one being educational television. I think it's a good sign when they're quotable, because that means like they've made an impression. You know, they've done their job right. If you can still remember it all these years on, and those quotes still stick in your head, I think that's a sign of a comedy done right. So yeah, A I think is where that goes. Also another appearance of SpongeBob's parents. I don't think I mentioned when I did Home Sweet Pineapple that that's the first appearance of SpongeBob's parents. And then obviously they appear again in No Free Rides. I like their designs. I like that they're just regular little sea sponges, while SpongeBob is like a square kitchen sponge. I think that's funny. I think that has a very charming, like, I was gonna say charming charm to it. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for nearly 2 hours now. I'm running out of words slowly. Much like SpongeBob writing his essay. And I was hoping I could do a segue into that, but I'm nowhere near P. I'm kind of near P. We're almost at procrastination. But the next episode up is No Weenies Allowed. I always really enjoyed this one as a kid. I think this is another, like, joke every second one. I really enjoy SpongeBob trying to get into the salty spittoon. The salty spittoon. It's turning me into like I'm slowly morphing into an Edwin voice. The salty spittoon. I just think the amount of scenarios SpongeBob comes up with to try and prove himself tough. I think the jokes, like I stubbed my toe when watering my spice garden and I only cried for 20 minutes. First of all, same. Secondly, it's so immensely quotable as an episode. I like how determined and how affronted he is to be considered tough and that he's considered a weenie. I like how friendly the two guys are in Weenie Hut Juniors. I think it's funny that they do a little bit of like nerd infighting as well, with them complaining about like if bald or shaved is a hairstyle or not. What dates the Weenie Hut like special events fall on. I like that Patrick's just there. He just turns up at Weenie Hut Juniors. He's just where he's needed to be. I think it's funny when like SpongeBob, as Steven Hillenburg outlined in his pitch Bible, he wants to fit in sometimes. I like that he's more aware of himself. Like, you know, he wants to be considered a tough guy and not a weak little sponge. I have been doing this for a while. I didn't realize there'd be so much SpongeBob to talk about. Like, I think I'm pretty sure I'm halfway through now, so I'll be able to get to some games eventually tonight. I might not do them as long as previous streams, but there aren't as many to check out anyway, so this may be the last SpongeBob Flash game stream for a while. You know, if I get to it and it's not just all a tier list, but I'm just fine talking about these episodes all day. So where did I put no weenies allowed? There it is. I'm gonna put that as a higher A. Maybe an S? Dare I do another S? I think I will. I think they do so much with the limited environment, because half of this episode, if not more, is just SpongeBob standing in line and then going back to Weenie Hut Juniors and standing in line to the salty I cannot say the salty spittoon. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe it's the 2-hour mark that I've been doing this for. Yeah, I just think they do so much with those two locations. I just think like SpongeBob trying to appear tough is funny. I like Patrick beating himself up so he can get in, and when he finally gets in, the reveal that he tripped on an ice cube and got covered in boo-boos and gets sent to Weenie Hut General. It's all funny. The build-up is funny, the payoff is funny. Really good episode, so that's why it's got to go in an S tier, I think. So what is after that? One Crab's Trash. Oh no, is this going to be another S1? Because this has Schmidty Wamper Jensen, or whatever he was called. He was number 1. Oh, does that mean he has to go in number 1? I might put it in A. Maybe. Oh, maybe, yeah, I think maybe a high A. It's just not as good as the other S tiers to put it in S, I think, to me. I do enjoy the array of hats that Mr. Krabs gives to SpongeBob to try and convince him. I know, A is almost number 1. S is kind of like number 1 plus 1, if you think about it that way. I like the hats they tries to give him to get back the drinks hat. Foxy Grandpa is one I think of constantly. It's just, yeah, it is a funny episode, but it's just not quite getting to S tier for me. I don't know. And obviously this is another episode that's been like memed to hell and back. You've got Here Lie Squidward's Hopes and Dreams grave. You've got He Was Number 1. Patrick's not in this episode. Oh, he's at the beginning, isn't he? He gets sold his own ladle, his own plunger back as a ladle. But you've got Mr. Krabs standing over the grave and saying, "Do I want to defile a man's grave for money?" Which gets a lot of use out of it. The music has an amazing sense of comedic timing, I've noticed, and it also tends to end when I'm finished talking about an episode. So right about now, I'm gonna say that I think One Crab's Trash goes in the A tier. I think that's where I can place it. New music? Nice, very relaxing. So, after One Crab's trash comes Opposite Day. Oh, I feel like people are not going to be happy that I didn't put One Crab's trash in S tier because he was number 1. But I think I am going to put Opposite Day in low S tier. I just think this one, with them both pretending to be Squidward and the real estate agent eventually getting angry when the real Squidward turns up. Like, he's Squidward, you're Squidward, I'm Squidward! Are there any Squidwards I should know, other Squidwards I should know about? And the little, like, meow. Again, I think when you start just quoting them off the bat like that, that's something that's got to go in S tier. I just think him trying to get, Squidward trying to get them out of his hair, or lack thereof, by saying today's opposite day, so they should be the opposite of themselves, and they take that as just being Squidward. And Patrick's impression of Squidward is just to dance around going, I'm Squidward, I'm Squidward. It's so simplistic, but it's so funny. So that's got to be an S tier episode for me. I just think everything about it is really enjoyable. I know I didn't have much to say about that one, but you know, when they're good, it's really hard to express what makes comedic episodes work. It's just, they just kind of do work, you know? Like, if you've seen it, you perfectly understand. Now, Party Pooper Pants. Oh, that long neglected D tier is finally getting a friend, I'm afraid, because I just don't like this one. I like the Patchy segments more than I do the SpongeBob episodes, which is probably not a good sign. But as a kid and even now, this just felt too mean to me. This is a criticism I've leveled at a lot of them, and I know that's a weird one to make out of like a 2000s cartoon, because they were very much into like the irreverent, mean-spirited stuff. And like I said earlier in the stream, I liked my share of mean-spirited cartoons. I named like Invader Zim and Ed, Edd and Eddy. But yeah, this one always felt just more frustrating to me. That it was just SpongeBob trying to throw a good party, and then he gets kicked out of it, and everyone enjoyed the party without him. This was kind of like an early sign of the progression into a series where everybody just seemed to hate SpongeBob. Everybody around SpongeBob couldn't stand him. Like, it wasn't just Squidward. Nobody seemed to be his friend. It was just kind of, it got really like miserable and cynical, and yeah, I don't know, that just never felt like, there wasn't a lot of humour in that, because it just felt like you were seeing somebody get unfairly beat up. I don't know, there weren't really enough jokes in the house party special to make it good enough to justify the weak parts, so that I'm afraid is going in D tier. They can't all be winners. Sometimes, you know, you look back on a good series, and you can't always look back with rose-tinted glasses. Obviously, like, other fans of the show would have different opinions on this one, because it's always going to be like, humor is always down to personal preference and taste. So I definitely wouldn't say objectively bad episode, but it's just one that I know, even from being a kid, I never had like a huge interest in rewatching. Like I said, the Patchy segments are fun. I like Patchy. I like his goofy, like, man-child attitude, which is basically just me now reviewing a bunch of SpongeBob episodes at 27 years old. But what can you do? It's a classic series. Where is the next episode then? Paddy Hype. I don't know. I think maybe this is like a solid average one for me. I think this music's coming to an end as well. I've been going again for 2 hours. This playlist is only an hour long. Yeah, Paddy hype. This one is memorable for obviously like bringing in SpongeBob's Rainbow Paddy's idea, and then it's so successful that Mr. Krabs wants to capitalize on that. Apart from that, I never really ever remember where it's going. It doesn't have, apart from at the beginning where SpongeBob marches up angrily and goes, "Hey Patrick, are you angry too? Yeah, what's the matter? Can't see my forehead." Apart from that, I never really like, there never any like standout jokes to me. Even when I rewatch it, it never really sticks in mind that long. Yeah, so definitely nowhere near as bad as Party Pooper Pants. I feel so... Not only am I still, like, comparing myself to Patchy the Pirate, I feel really childish saying Party Pooper Pants for the name of the episode. I'm just gonna go for SpongeBob's House Party, as they originally marketed it as. But yeah, Paddy hype. Yeah, I don't know. It's, like, I need to, like, have a supercut of myself saying I don't know through this stream. I'll do it. I'll edit that whole thing myself. You could basically just get the gist of the stream that way without having to watch 2 hours of it. Oh, I should have put some title cards on this. I should have brought like the French narrator's title cards in for the timestamps. Yeah, Paddy hype. It's fine. You know, it's fine. It's not like, it's not bad. It's not a hard sit through. It's just like an average episode. Excuse me a sec while I put in some more music for you. Oh, sorry, I forgot he was there. Just look at SpongeBob. A little minute. Okay. We got... Yeah, there we go. The music's back on. Yeah, if you weren't there for the beginning of the stream, before the stream, I was like checking out what happens in newer episodes. I was looking at some new episode images and stuff, and I found out that apparently SpongeBob twerks in in one of the newer episodes. Funny you should say that, because I actually saved and named that GIF as no.gif. It's just exactly how you feel when you look at it. So anyway, where were we on this tier list? Oh, we're in the P's. Look at how many classic P episodes there are. Plankton's Paranoia has a nice title card. That's obviously a newer episode, but quite nice to look at. I have no words. No, that's how everyone feels. Be exposed to the twerking SpongeBob, I guess. Pickles. Turned himself into a pickle. Funniest thing I've ever seen. I like this episode. It's not like even an especially funny one, but I sort of, again, I like the slice of life atmosphere almost of this one, that SpongeBob, you know, loses his confidence. He can't remember how to do anything anymore. And Mr. Krabs comes over and is like acting a lot sort of like old guardian / paternal role again to him, trying to get his spirits up and, you know, get him back in the kitchen to make more Krabby Patties. I think that puts it to a strong A to me, because even though it's not particularly funny, I just like this. Again, this feels like when I was saying the everyone who worked on Rocko's Modern Life, you know, people went on to work on SpongeBob, and season 1 to like early season 2 still kind of has that domestic feel to it. And that's Pickles feels like it could have been a Rocko's Modern Life episode. Like, I could see Rocko in the same position as SpongeBob, losing his confidence over something, having to like be brought back into reality again and cheer up. It feels like it could have been like a holdover from that series, and I never really thought about it before. But I guess I do like season 1's more domestic atmosphere. I think they got a lot out of the characters bouncing off each other and just like reacting to mundane scenarios in a weird environment. So yeah, Pickles goes an A to me, because I just find it a very enjoyable, if not especially hilarious episode. It is amazing how many of the classics start with P. Look at this, you got Pizza Delivery, Plankton, Pranks a Lot, Pre-Hibernation Week, Plankton's Army. That's a lot, actually. Pressure? Procrastination? never considered that before. So, I mean, pizza delivery. Where else does that go? But S. It's gotta go in S. I think a lot of fans would be in agreement with that. Everything about this is so strong. I don't know if I'd necessarily put it above Band Geeks, but I think it's a fantastic Squidward and SpongeBob episode, and they're the only characters that carry this episode for pretty much the entire duration. Like, you see Mr. Krabs for a little bit at the beginning, the fish who ordered the pizza at the very end, but it's just like, for the majority of the episode, it's just those two. Yeah, the pizza for you and me, the song that SpongeBob sings. Everybody loves that song who's ever watched it. I think the visuals of like just this open sandy landscape and the tornadoes are really quite grim and unique for the placement of the series. You haven't really seen much like that by then. I like Squidward actually caring for SpongeBob and throwing the pizza in the guy's face. Much like Band Geeks, that's another really satisfying moment for Squidward. And it happens quite early on in the series too. I think anyone who's like worked with a terrible client or just kind of an annoying, obnoxious person can really relate to that moment. It's something you wish you could do. It's just an all-around fantastic episode. Everything about it's good. Every beat it hits is magnificent. It's got a good song. It's got a satisfying ending. It's cute. It's funny. It has a good location. Just an all-around solid episode and a solid S. That's got to be second to best S tier episode for me. So on to the rest of the P's. How many more do we have? Oh, we're almost at the end. I think we probably should have like, I've been going for 2 hours 10 minutes. Probably just another like maybe half hour or so. Because most of the episodes seem to be condensed in the P. Plankton. Yeah, our first introduction to Plankton. I like this one. I love Mr. Lawrence's Plankton voice. I think his booming, commanding voice is always inherently funny for such a tiny little guy. High A, I guess? I don't know if it's an S. Because I think it's better serving as an introduction to Plankton as a character. I don't think it's like one of his best examples, but I do think it's a pretty funny one to kind of focuses more on like introducing him. And obviously I think originally at this point he wasn't going to be a reoccurring character. He was just like a one-off villain. I think it's a good one. I like him. I like Mr. Lawrence's performance as Plankton. I like SpongeBob's innocence in not wanting to be his best friend, but only because he wants to steal the Krabby Patty formula. He'd be friends with him otherwise. I like the running gag of him playing his own evil theme music, and again, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, this episode had me convinced for a short while when I was a kid that mediocre was a swear word, because Squidward was so appalled by being called a mediocre clarinet player. I like that this is my lab joke, with him walking through a room and it's like an actual video of a Labrador Retriever. That's a funny little misdirection. It's very like vaudeville of it to do. I think the early SpongeBob episodes were very sort of like old school silly pun humor and like straight man, funny man, back and forth type thing. I think that's what I really prefer in the series. So yeah, Plankton is now holding the top spot for the A episodes. So what do we have after that? Oh god, we're all the way down at S. Plankton's Army. That makes sense. I don't know where I'd place this one. I really have always enjoyed the joke of them learning his name is Sheldon. Well, like they already know, we learned his name was Sheldon, as does Karen. And I think the whole sequence of her displaying the name Sheldon behind him, making his family laugh, and every time he turns around it's gone again, is a really good bit. So even though even though the rest of it is never quite as strong for me, I think that's enough to put it in like a low A, because I just think that whole sequence alone is great, and I like seeing all the different unique creative designs of the plankton. That they all have like their varied shade of green. They have different antenna shapes, body shapes. I like his little like country bumpkin extended family. Yeah, that's good for like the expansion on Plankton's, you know, whole deal and his family and stuff like that. Again, you know, like the Sheldon joke. I don't have a lot to really say about that one, but I think it does belong in like A tier. We'll put it safely snug in like a. Feels mean to call it an A minus, you know. He went to college. He's better than that. But yeah, Plankton's army goes almost like bookended by Plankton episodes. Almost, anyway. So all the way down to P, still in P. Pranks a lot. Oh, isn't it interesting, because this is technically the final episode on this list, because I'm doing seasons 1 to 3 only. Isn't that crazy to think? You know what, I bet there was like a season 1 to 3 tier list out there where I didn't have to search for them myself. This was just the first one I came across. Pranks a lot, honestly, is always a bit bittersweet to me, because that's like the last hurrah almost of the pre-renewal, pre-movie SpongeBob episodes. But apart from that, it was never like a particularly strong one to me. It is another one of those ones where the gags stick out to me more than the plot, which I know is a criticism I've leveled at a few of these by now, but it's kind of true that I remember them like spraying each other with the invisible spray and making puns about it, and the car that's like several bad puns later and stuff like that. I like the bit where they're pretending to be ghosts and in the Krusty Krab, and they're going like, it's too late, I've already clogged all the toilets. Yeah, I think it's like a mid C though. I don't think it's the strongest note for it to have ended on, but you know, it's certainly better than what was to come anyway. But yeah, even like upon first viewing and recent viewings as an adult, it's never one of my top favourites, so it's kind of going in a C, I think. Oh my god, we are almost done. We got plenty of episodes to go. I'm just gonna rehydrate myself while we do these. Where am I now? Pre-Hibernation week. Yeah, I always did like this one. I always get this confused with Survival of the Idiots, because they're both hibernation-based episodes. But I do enjoy this one. I think I like, again, like I said, I like a Sandy and SpongeBob matchup. I think they work really well as best friends. I think the hardcore metal intro song and the song that plays throughout the episode is such an odd thing to put in SpongeBob, and yet works. I think this is a very funny one. I like the whole thing of like SpongeBob being put through these like horrible extreme sport things that Sandy wants to do before she sleeps. How could I almost forget to bring up the entire sequence of Sandy excuse me, Sandy, that's what you get when you talk for 2 hours straight. When she's trying to get people, rally them up to search for SpongeBob, and they're trying to pretend like they already found him because they don't want to do this. I think when that big fish pulls up that one little fish, squishes him into a box, and he goes, I'm ready, and she goes, no, you ain't, has just always been one of my favourite quotes. It's just hilarious to me. Yeah, this is an incredibly hilarious episode, and I think, is it an S? I don't know. It might be like a top A tier. I think I'll put it somewhere between pickles and one crab's trash. Maybe I'm being a tough critic of my own taste, but sometimes you just know, don't you, where you slot one down. Sandy episodes are great. I love her as a character. They didn't really utilize her much, and she wasn't even in the movie, which is weird. Maybe she was cut out at some stage in development, because I think she's in the credits, but yeah, I've always really liked her as a character, how she works off the rest of the cast. So what else? Is that all the P's? Oh no, pressure and procrastination. Pressure? Speaking of Sandy episodes, this one always made me feel really bad for her, because I know, like, you know, it's a cartoon and their personalities just flip-flop between what's needed for that particular scenario. They nearly, like, make her drown. Like the whole bit where they're like making her take her helmet off and she can't breathe anymore. I really liked the sequence when they go up on land. I think the creative way they display them as like different objects, like SpongeBob is just a little kitchen sponge. Squidward is this weird looking like octopus sculpture with a big nose. Patrick is just a regular little dried out starfish. And I like Sandy just being like a squirrel puppet into a little helmet on. It's cute. I like it's creative. I always liked as a kid, and I'm still pretty fond of like when they do medium blending, like they swap between different art styles and live action footage. Yeah, so apart from like the kind of, again, mean-spirited side of it, I think just for that alone, that puts it into a low A for me. It's a mixed bag of an episode, that one. It's comedic, I can't deny that. Yeah, I think that puts it up there. I always liked them going through their different talents. Like Patrick can eat a whole stacked Krabby Patty. Mr. Krabs can like retract his eye. SpongeBob can bud because he's a sponge. Yeah. I think just for the creativity alone, that one like shifts into A tier for me. So then, of course, we have somewhere around here Procrastination. Classic episode. Incredibly funny. It just resonates with pretty much everyone who's ever watched it. The extremes that SpongeBob goes to avoid the essay, and then like oh my god, I cannot talk for 2 hours straight. But on the other hand, I love talking about SpongeBob for 2 hours straight. This is the best stream I've ever done, personally. Now, where does it go, though? This is a hard choice. Low S. I think I've got to bite the bullet and put it in a low S rather than like a high A. I just think like the amount of stuff SpongeBob does to distract himself, the bit when it cuts back to the essay, he's been like after a montage, he's been working on it, and it just says the really fancy over detailed cursive. Funny. There's no other way to really explain it. The part where he just sets the house on fire, or dreams about setting the house on fire. And, you know, haven't we all been there? At the ending when Mrs. Puff says the essay was cancelled and he just rips it in half, smiling, rips in half himself. It's a good gag to end it on. And I know some of these feel like I'm not talking about them particularly long, which is probably a good thing because it's been nearly 2.5 hours. But yeah, that has got to be where it goes on the list. So I think we're finally done with the P's, right? Yeah, Reef Blower. I actually have the GIF of this entire episode that somebody made that's really tiny and low quality and contains the whole episode because it's so short, pinned to my Tumblr blog. Yeah, if you want to go and watch Reef Blower right now really quickly, you know, go to vimbri.tumblr.com. You can watch it right there. Come back to the stream. I'll still be here. I've been here for 2 hours. I'll still be here after you finish watching a Reef Blower. I like this for being an unusual one, for having no dialogue and still being comedic. Yeah, you go ahead and watch Reef Blower. I'll consider where Reef Blower should go on the list. I think don't know. I don't know if it's like... I think it being so short is kind of a disadvantage. I know they only made this episode because the pilot was... it came up too short, so they had to add some more footage. And that's also why it has no dialogue. There's a myth, or I guess more of an urban legend, a SpongeBob myth, that the reason it has no dialogue is because their audio equipment broke, so they had to make an episode without one. It's actually because they didn't want to pay the actors' fees again, because this would technically be another session, even though it was an extension of the pilot. I don't think they really had the budget in these days, or, you know, they probably just didn't want to because, you know, voice acting industry, am I right? But, yeah, it wasn't like, obviously, like, it hadn't aired yet, it wasn't a big success. They didn't really have the funding to, like, do another studio session. They probably could now, because it's such a powerhouse. But, so, to avoid paying the voice actors for a second studio session, they just wrote an episode with no dialogue to get around it. And that's why Reef Blower has no dialogue. So, thank you, SpongeBob Encyclopedia, or whatever the wiki's called, that I've been lucky at, like, on and off for the past couple of weeks, for that tidbit of information. So, you probably actually could have watched that GIF in the time it took me to explain my stance on Reef Blower, actually. I think just for its length, and because it's only like episode 2, even though I've put Help Wanted in S tier. Oh, I don't know. I think for creativity alone, again, like with Pressure, I want to put it in an A. And you know what? Who's going to stop me? So it's going in A. What are you going to do? To come and turn the stream off for me? YouTube could cancel it, I suppose. Like copyright. I've got SpongeBob music in the background. Viacom are not going to like that. I'm talky over most of it though, so I guess that's probably fine. I don't think this technically comes under fair use, but shh, we won't let them know that. So we're kind of in the last. Are we in the last third of the list now? Oh, there's a lot of episodes more to go. I think I'm going to make it to 3 hours. Oh my god! I intended this to be like a short little like pre-show to the Flash game stream. That is definitely a hell of a GIF, isn't it? You know, it's up there with like the Morbius GIF, where you can just watch the whole thing. So what have we got going on here? What is the next episode? Ripped Pants. I love this one. There's something about it. It's got everything going for it for my personal taste. It's a Sandy and SpongeBob episode. It's got some very cute little SpongeBob moments. It's got a hell of a song at the end. Fantastic little Beach Boys spoof. I was trying to say parody and spoof at the same time. That doesn't work. But yeah, this is another strong one, like pizza delivery. It's just got so many elements that work. I deeply enjoy this one. Very, very nostalgic to me. Very fond of it, even if it wasn't one of the Halloween DVD episodes. Yeah, I think that goes in S tier. Maybe about here. I love the timing of this music I have going on. That's wonderful. So, now that we're finally getting to the end of this list, maybe? Somewhere about here. Yeah, Sailor Mouth. This was hysterical to me as a child. I think there's just so much pure joy in SpongeBob's earnestness. Walking into the Krusty Krab, being such an innocent little guy, having no idea what he's saying, and just yelling obscenities around the Krusty Krab so casually. What I really want is they recently uncovered, it sounds so mysterious, the SpongeBob SquarePants chocolate milk commercial. I think I talked about this earlier in the stream. As like lost media that hasn't been seen in over 21 years. When you put it that way, that sounds so wild, doesn't it? What I really want is the cut of Sailor Mouth that isn't censored, because the voice actors were saying it really messed up the momentum of their deliveries to have to like do their own natural pauses whenever they weren't supposed to swear. So somewhere out there, if it still exists, maybe it's been deleted, wiped, who knows. I hope somebody's got it in like a home archive somewhere, or the Nickelodeon vault. There once did exist a copy of this script where the voice actors are like fully swearing, and I want to hear it. I want to hear that happen. I want that cut. You know, I know we have Tom Kenny talking about his inspiration for SpongeBob, which was the person in the elf costume who was really like, who was venting about only be able to work around Christmas because of his size. He was like always cast as an elf. So we have at least that, and that's pretty funny in itself, but I want to hear the Sailor Mouth cut as well. That's like the holy grail of SpongeBob supposedly lost media. Not technically lost because, you know, it was never publicly released, but if it exists somewhere, I cannot wait for that to be found. Let's keep the hype going of the chocolate milk commercial and find a Sailor Mouth the uncensored cut. But as for the episode itself, yeah, I think it's going maybe about here. It's such a basic concept. I always really liked the scene where they're playing Eels and Escalators, and Patrick is just getting more and more smug, rubbing it in as SpongeBob is getting angrier. The way Patrick goes, "Escalators," has stuck with me for years. I think there's something really funny about that. So, yeah, it's a high tier A. Did the music just end again as I came to the end of an episode? This is, oh my god, this is just an amazing timing. So our next episode is Rockabye Bivalve. I assume I'm saying that right? I'm assuming it's not Bivavely, but yeah, just a little scallop. I'm assuming the family term for what scallops belong to. I just rewatched this one the other week, and I think that's why I'm gay now. Oh my god, this episode is wasn't banned here, but I know this has been banned in multiple countries for implied. I think the reason given was like implied homosexuality. So it's going in S. I think it's yeah, I think it's a good one. I think I'll put it maybe like an A, maybe like about here, about maybe about there. That was a good one. It's another episode where Patrick is really obnoxious, but I think it works here because he's supposed to be the, you know, the lazy foil to SpongeBob's hardworking parent. They're supposed to like work off each other here. Although it's pretty funny how Patrick is just ready to stomp on and murder this baby scallop at the beginning. And it's also got another joke in it, which is one of my favourites, which is SpongeBob saying, "Oh, it looks like he can't even fly yet," and Patrick goes, "What's the matter? Is it stupid?" It's another one that's such a basic line, but it always just pops into my head. It's just funny to me. Yeah, I like this episode. It's a little frustrating in parts to watch, but it's that, you know, that's kind of like the intention behind it. It's supposed to be aggravating, and I bet a lot of parents watching this probably it probably resonated with them. I assume. It's also quite funny how at the end the baby scallop flies away, and they say, you know, "This is the hardest part of every parent's life, I assume." And then Patrick goes, "Let's have another," while SpongeBob does that surprise expression. It's such a silly little, like, innuendo, but I don't know, it's a good gag to end it on. It's a strong gag. Pretty strong episode. That's where it goes for me. There's so many, guys. There's so many episodes. I think most of these are newer though, so that means it's not as intimidating as it looks at first glance. Just try and imagine half of those episodes not there, and we'll get through this together. Don't worry. Sandy's rocket. Yeah, again, not really a Sandy episode, she's not in it much, but I like her appearance. I like SpongeBob attempting to be sensible, and then Patrick kind of goads him into using the rocket. I like the creepy atmosphere and the dark colour palette. Oh my god, my words are falling out of my head. nearly 3 hours into the stream. I'm gonna have to take like a 15-minute break after I do this tier list before I do the games that are actually on the title, because I need to like collect myself, take a break. So yeah, Sandy's Rocket, I like the dark color palette of the backgrounds. The paranoia of like just shooting everybody into nets because they think they're scary aliens. I think this episode taught me the word embryo, thinking on it. The bit where they pick up like Squidward's hot water bottle and I think their own hands underneath it are alien eggs. That probably is the first time I actually heard that word, so thank you, SpongeBob, for being so educational about biology, marine biology, you know. Don't say cartoons ever taught you nothing. So Sandy's Rocket, I think, maybe a low A? I don't know, I know it just like complimented the whole thing, but it's one of those where it is up against a lot of funnier episodes, so yeah, I'm fine putting it around, maybe like actually above, yeah, I think, yeah, maybe like second to last row A is about the right place for Sandy's Rocket. Another entertaining episode, but like I've been saying all the way through this stream, there's just better ones. So, what have we got here? The next episode is Sandy, SpongeBob and the Worm. Now, this is honestly one of my favorites. It's another one of those episodes where there's just a joke every other moment, if not every moment. The whole scene where Sandy and SpongeBob are marching up to the worm and he's trying to make her not go because she'll get killed, and he's trying different tactics to make her stay behind. I think they're all funny. I'm also not going to go through them all here for multiple reasons. But yeah, I really enjoy this episode. I like the Sandy and SpongeBob pair up. It's rare and it works and it's hilarious to me. So maybe about here. Oh, I didn't quite like end as the music did on that one, but yeah. The title cards coming up of Alaskan Bullworm really emphasize the comedy. I feel like I've repeated myself a lot in this stream, as would happen when you've been going out nearly 3 hours. But, you know, they're all funny, and I can find, you know, many ways to compliment these episodes on how funny they are. So it's just, you know, something that you keep coming back to because of how hilarious a series this is. Where are we actually down here? So, sleepy time. I think this may be a high A. I don't think it's quite an S. And that's definitely not for me not wanting to hand out too many S's, because look at how many things are in S already. A lot of these are A's. Well, look at that A list. Oh my god. I like this one. I really enjoy. I always liked plots growing up and even now where people would like go through different locations and react to them. I like that we see different dreams of the characters in the cast. I just enjoy this one. I like its creativity. I think SpongeBob reacted to the dreams, gets a lot of comedy out of it. I think it's cute. I know it feels like I'm kind of running out of things to say about these episodes, but yeah, it is really ish because there's so many ways you can say something's good. I don't know how Ellis Mark, that YouTuber, did like a 7-hour video on these, and he did every episode. I'm only like 2.5 hours in, and I can't think of any other ways to phrase, yeah, made me laugh. So yeah, sleepy time. I think it goes about, I'll put it just slightly here above Pickles, I think. I genuinely thought the music had ended there. I thought we were going to get another series of good timing, but no. I almost missed a very good episode and I don't know how. Rock Bottom. It's got to be another S tier. It has to. And this is amazing because this is basically, apart from the very beginning where you have Patrick in it, this is just SpongeBob carrying an episode by himself, and it's amazing how well executed this episode it is, with just basically one character, kind of like occasionally reacting to other one-off minor characters in the cast, but mostly he's just like standing by himself waiting for a bus. And I think there's a few episodes in this series where they get so much out of so little, because that just seems on paper like a really boring concept that wouldn't be funny, but they make it work so well. I really enjoy the unsettling atmosphere. I like the deep sea fish designs of the characters. Just everything about this is entertaining. I thoroughly enjoy this every time I watch it. I could rewatch it so many times. It's always going to make me laugh. I think seeing SpongeBob get annoyed is always a joy. I think it's funny when such a nice guy finally reaches his limit, and he is just like so irritated in this episode. And again, Tom Kenny's performance in this, with him just like screaming at the top of his lungs, his reads on the lines are so perfect. So we gotta put it in S tier, somewhere around, I think here. And I think, honestly, I think everybody's S tier is SpongeBob. Like, at least they're like, if you ask them to name their top favourite episodes, it would be some variation on Band Geek's Pizza Delivery and Rock Bottom, but they're popular for a reason. You know, that's the reason everybody always cites them and talks about them, is because they're such consistently funny episodes, and so well produced, so well animated. So it's kind of a predictable list, I guess, but you know, how could it ever be anything else? So what do we have left here? It's interesting that as we get further along in the alphabet, this is where we find my favourite episodes, because SB129 is again, I think this has got to go straight after Rock Bottom. I love this one, just again for having a character react to different scenarios, and this is obviously like a Squidward based episode. He's not as solo as SpongeBob is in Rock Bottom. He has a lot of characters to respond to, but I've got to put it there because I just think, and this always felt really long as well, much like the stream. I think because of the pacing is done really well on this. I think the amount of time we spend on the future with Squidward and then in the past, it always felt like a really long episode. It felt so much longer than the 10 to 11 minute runtime. They really managed to squeeze a lot in there and made it not feel rushed. As a kid, for some reason, I was really drawn to future SpongeBob, Spongetron, and the clones. There was something really like friendly about them. I don't know why. I was always kind of disappointed that we didn't spend more time on the future segment, though the past one is so atmospheric. I like the designs of the primitive SpongeBob Patrick. The payoff at the end that Squidward completed like a stable time loop and technically invented jellyfishing. You know, what else can you say but funny? So, what is the next one's not going to be another S tier, is it? Because I feel like I'm putting so many in S tier. Snowball Effect. Ooh, it might be. It very well might be. This one is just an excellent episode. You know, it's who you calling Pinhead, the whole Dirty Dan argument. At this point, I'm just listing off synopses of the episodes, but, you know, if you've seen them, you've seen them, and you know exactly what they're like, where they belong. Oh yeah, I'm also quite glad I'm not going to spend 7 hours on it. There's no way that I could ever sit through every episode. I'm glad you're enjoying the list, though. I'm definitely enjoying it. It's definitely a bit of an endurance test, but You know, what better endurance test could there be than talking about SpongeBob for nearly 3 hours? So, Snowball Effect, I don't know. This is another, like, SA struggle because it's such a classic episode. It's got the amazing Dirty Dan argument and Hibernation Sandy just coming in as a legitimate and horrifyingly drawn threat about to completely come and wreck them whenever they wake her up. Oh, this is actually quite a hard one. I think it's a high A. I think so. I don't know about where. I think it's definitely above Pickles. Like I said earlier, these won't be completely one-to-one with how I feel about them. They're kind of like loose estimates of where they should be placed on each respective ranking. So some of them might not be like, you know, perfectly matching how I feel about them. But I think Snowball Effect does belong on that list. There's also again some reef blower music in the background. That is just another thing that, unfortunately, I definitely can't rate these on, like, soundtrack alone, because a lot of them use the same stock library soundtracks, but, again, along with the animation, SpongeBob has such an amazing score. The soundtrack is so memorable, the sound design with the sound effects are too, it's just a really perfect, well put together, well produced show, or, you know, was, I guess, but you know, we got to remember the good times. Something Smells, an episode now known for, I think, being the source of Sans' speech in Undertale. Maybe it's the way you're dressed. Another one I've rewatched only recently, and I like it okay. I think it can go in a B. I don't think we've had a B episode in a while. I can't think of anything I particularly dislike about it, like specifically. But, it seems kind of bad to put something that has the dear face in B, because, you know, it's another one with such distinctive classic jokes in it. But yeah, I think for me personally, it kind of goes in a high average, I'd say. I think it's just because there's so many others, like I've said many times throughout the stream, that are better. I think it's just a matter of that. It's not that something is worse, it's just that others are better, and that's just like kind of how it is with these sometimes. So, SpongeBob Meets the Strangler, the second to last episode, and twin episode to Pranks-a-Lot. I have lost it. There it is. I was never, much like Pranks-a-Lot, I was never really big on this one. I think it is good. The cleat scene, I always hated. When SpongeBob tries to break into his own house through the window and jumps into the Strangler's eyes. That always made me cringe. So I was never really good with, like, really extreme physical comedy, especially if it's eye stuff. Eye stuff, maybe it's because I wear glasses and have done since I was, like, 2 years old. Eye stuff has always really creeped me out. It's not a good gag to me. So, yeah, I think this is another C. Where did I put, what is happening outside? My god, okay. Where did I put Pranks-a-Lot? There. I think I'll put it with Pranks-a-Lot, because although it seems kind of mean to do this to the final episodes of season 3, that's just kind of how I feel about them. They're kind of like one of the weaker of the bunch to me, because I think, in my opinion, season 3, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm doing the same gross out humor as the show now. I didn't have time to mute my mic in time, so I think these ones for me, the whole last run of season 3. It just something about it is lacking to me. I don't know. I feel like they put more emphasis on the gross out humor, and the citizens of Bikini Bottom outright hating SpongeBob and hating being around him. Like, it went from a show where he was kind of annoying, but he was friends with everyone. Like, everyone in Valentine's Day, for example, loves him. It just seemed weird that they were trying to squeeze humour out of the more cynical side. And I think that's just like, because 2000s cartoons were kind of progressing to that more edgy, irreverent side. Maybe Nickelodeon pushed for it, maybe the writers wanted to follow suit. I don't know, but it kind of, some of the shine came off for that to me. So, yeah, those are kind of two examples of episodes I was never really as into. Scaredy Pants, on the other hand, like I said, I have the Halloween DVD. This was the first episode on there. And I think it has to go in an S. I think it does. I don't know about where just yet. But I think this is like, it's mostly based in childhood fondness because it's one I watched over and over. But I like its very like cozy atmosphere of it makes you feel like you are going out to a Halloween party in the evening. It has a real sort of like nice self-contained, again, grounded, almost slice of life feel to it, which is something I never would have thought I would describe SpongeBob as. But the early episodes of season 1 kind of were. I like seeing everybody's Halloween costumes. Squidward not getting Sandy's goldfish in a bowl one. It's such a great twist, a good payoff that you see that SpongeBob has had his whole body shaved down to his brain. It's an absolutely disturbing image when it just cuts to him with his skinny little body and his big eyes and his exposed brain. I think it's a really good comedic reveal. First appearance of the Flying Dutchman as well, who went on to be like a recurring character. And Brian Doyle Murray's performance is always fun. He's one of those guys that doesn't really have like a vocal range, but that you can spot him. He does the same voice in pretty much everything he's in, but because he's got such a distinctive voice, I think fits really well with the Flying Dutchman. I think you can get away with that sometimes. It's like Patrick Warburton, you know, or like H. John Benjamin. Yeah, what can I say? I really love Scaredy Pants. Everything about this works for me. The nostalgia factor, how well put together it is. It's got that lovely early season 1 animation quality to it, art style. It introduces Flying Dutchman. It's just an all-around fantastic episode, and I think it's got to be high in the S tier again. We're almost done. We're at like the last stretch now. We've got to get like a second wind. And the next episode is Squeaky Boots. I think there's nothing before that, right? That I've missed. Squeaky Boots. It's a very minor plot in this one. Does this one introduce Pearl? I think this is where we first see Pearl, isn't it? She doesn't get to do a whole lot though. I enjoy this one. I like seeing SpongeBob enjoy his new gift of the boots and then be really depressed when he thinks he's lost them. Yeah, it's not a very eventful episode. Again, it's another one with references where I think the reference works even if you don't get it. What kid watching this is gonna know that it's the Telltale Heart? But I think the way Mr. Krabs acts and the absurdity of it, screaming, I put them here under the floorboards and bringing up these squeaky boots. It's fine, even detached from its source that it references, because it kind of speaks for itself. So, Squeaky Boots. Oh, this is another tricky one for me. I would put it in. I don't know if it's an A. I think just for being kind of mundane, I'm gonna put it as a high B. A B closer to an A, you know, like somewhere in between. A B plus is what I would call Squeaky Boots. I enjoy it. It's just quite a minor episode, I suppose. So where are we now? Squid's Day Off. Almost didn't see that one. Oh, problem. This is a really good one. Oh, I missed Shanghai. Hang on, we gotta go back to that one. Squid's Day Off can stay there. Now, I'm not gonna talk about this one very long because this was a sister episode to Gary Takes a Bath, or vice versa, really. This was like the big promoted one. In the US, it was promoted in the US. In the UK, this episode was banned. Never saw it. And I still haven't seen it. I could just go and watch it, but as I mentioned earlier when talking about Christmas Who, which I never caught either, there's 3 episodes of SpongeBob there, classic SpongeBob, that I, as a person who loved it as a kid and rewatched constantly, have never seen. And they make a nice series of colours there actually on their title cards. And I guess because I've never seen them, I almost want to save them, which sounds kind of ridiculous. Maybe I will rewatch them this year after I've done this tier list, so I can revisit that. I just got an update that apparently something's going down in our government right now, and I'm just sitting here doing a SpongeBob tier list. I wonder what's going on. I'll have to check later. Wow. There's apparently huge social developments going on in my country, and I'm just here talking about SpongeBob for 2 hours. But what else are you gonna do, really? So yeah, this was actually, speaking of this country, this was banned here. So I didn't see it as a kid, and I've not watched it now. It was reportedly banned for being too scary, apparently, so maybe I'm in for a treat when I finally watch it. I know this one was known for having, like, 3 separate endings that you could vote for on its initial airing. There was, like, a Patrick ending, a SpongeBob ending, and a Squidward ending, I think. I think everybody chose SpongeBob because, you know, why wouldn't you? It's the main guy, everybody knows him. And I think the other 2 episodes are no longer lost media. I think they were found not so long ago. So I might take a look at that sometime and like have a quick revisit to this list, tell you my opinions and placements on these 3 episodes that I've never seen. Love that music timing. Oh, what have we got going on now? It is... Squid on Strike should be around here somewhere. Where did it go? Squid's Day Off is what I have. So many Squidward episodes in S, which makes sense. Let's drag that up there. I've lost Squid's Day Off again. Where did it go? Oh my god, I actually can't find it. I'm blanking it real hard. Where there it is. Alright, Squid's Day Off. Wonderful episode. Absolutely wonderful episode. Seeing Squidward get just more and more deranged throughout it. I'm going to try and speed through these a little bit, because I know I've been going for like nearly 3 hours now, and I can only apologise to anyone who had watched my previous Flash game streams and I was expecting them here. I don't think they're even going to happen tonight, to be honest. I might have to do like maybe 1 or 2 of them to account for the amount of time I spend on this the tier list. I thought this was going to be a quick little thing. Apparently I have a lot to say. Who knew? Squid's Day Off, that's got to be in an S tier, I think. Again, I can't find of any new ways to say that something is funny, but Squidward just getting more and more paranoid throughout the day, while SpongeBob just happily sits at the cash register and has no idea what's going on, is a wonderful episode. Let's see, where... It should be Squid on Strike, right? Where about... Oh, Squidville! I never noticed... Oh yeah, Squid on Strike, there we go. I knew that was there somewhere. I have never noticed how many Squidward-based titles there are. After this one, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I might take a quick little break and get another drink here, because talking for 3 hours, it really does something to you. How people do things like 12 to 24-hour streams, I do not know. But Squid on Strike, it's weird because I feel like I only ever saw this episode once as a kid. I don't know how. Maybe I just never really caught it again. But yeah, this is not one I watched a lot. And I like it for its message, especially now that I'm older and I can appreciate it more. I think Squidward having a line about the lower classes. What is his line actually go now? It's something like nobody gives a care about the state of the worker if their labour can be. It's something much more clever than I phrased it. But either way, I think it's an inherently hilarious thing to put in a children's cartoon. So I think it's got to be a B for me though, because I never really it doesn't really go anywhere for me. Oh, the stream's been entertaining. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I was not expecting to go for 3 hours, and the music has been weirdly on my side. But Squid on Strike, maybe like a strong average. Probably better than Squeaky Boots. Maybe somewhere between these two, actually. I like the premise. I think it's a funny concept to deal with in a children's cartoon. I think it probably turned a lot of the kids who watched it into hard leftists. So that's got to account for something, hasn't it? I like the sad music playing now that I'm taking a quick break. So, yeah, I'm going to take a very quick rest here. Rest up my voice and stuff. Get up, stretch my legs. And it'll be the final stretch of the tier list. We're on S. There's only so many letters of the alphabet left to go. We're gonna reach the end of this. And then I'll probably play a quick flash game or two. Maybe not as many as I thought. Maybe we could only squeak 3 of them in. Because that'll bump me up into about 3.5, 4 hours. But this music in the background. Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break. And I will see you in a few minutes. I wonder when this music's gonna run out. Right about now, I should say. And I'm going to refresh the playlist, and we'll get to the end of these episodes. So I will see you in a short while. I'm back, and I'm ready to do the final bunch of episodes. So, as I have discovered when I took that quick break there, while I've been sitting here reviewing SpongeBob episodes for 3 hours, a bunch of members of the UK Parliament have resigned. Where were you when the government collapsed? I was talking about SpongeBob on YouTube. What a wonderful memory this is. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me for this 3 hour long something or other. We're in it for the long haul now. So where did I last leave off? I think I was gonna do Squidville, right? Squidville, yes. Squidville is I think this is a good one. I like seeing the novelty of other octopi, octopode, octopuses, whichever term it is to pluralize octopus. Octopuses, I think, is correct, isn't it? I think it's intriguing seeing Squidward apparently live his perfect life and then getting bored with each day and realizing he enjoys the novelty of SpongeBob and Patrick bothering him. I think it's cute how he sort of like gets pleasure out of like using the reef blower like SpongeBob and Patrick do. He likes a bit of silliness in his life, and I think that it always adds a little something to his character when he either gets jealous of SpongeBob and Patrick having fun, or being able to express their fun in ways Squidward probably also wants to, but he's too pretentious. So, I don't know if it's one of the best episodes out there. I think there's some I feel kind of mean giving an average rating to, because this one does have a good series of jokes in it. Maybe a high average, I think. I think this is one I could definitely put above Squeaky Boots. I like it, but not enough for it to be like a full A. An A is for like exceptional, but if you spelled it with an A. Or absolutely good episode. And other words beginning with A. But regardless, Squidville doesn't quite go in there for me. So the next one after that would be, I think it's another Squid one? Squid with the Unfriendly Ghost. This was on the Halloween DVD. Again, it's season 1, I believe it is, and has that lovely art style where it's still very bouncy and slightly more cartoonish. It was makes me a bit sad to see how sort of overly polished and lifeless the animation's gotten these days. But this one definitely has some great visuals. I find this a really funny episode. I think just the way they keep harassing Squidward, trying to get him to move on to the great beyond near the end as well, when he has to reveal he's not actually dead. I like the exchange of like, you're bald? No, I'm not bald. Yeah, this is, now that I think about it, this is the one that has a lot of dialogue that I really enjoy in it. Especially coupled with the familiarity, because I did rewatch it so often as a kid. I think for that alone, well, not just for that alone, actually, because it's funny. Okay, both of those reasons, I think it's an S tier for this one, for sure. Not sure right about where. Maybe, I think it definitely is a bit higher. I think I'm gonna put it here. I feel like all of the Halloween DVDs are gonna end up, it's had enough. We're reconnected, there we go. Sorry if it went down for a little bit there. I'm surprised it held out for 3 hours. My trusted little internet chugging along so hard, trying to keep up with me discussing SpongeBob for many, many hours. So, yeah. If any of that cut off while I was talking about it, I think all of the Halloween edition episodes are going to end up on that top row. Squilliam Returns. That is definitely a season 1 to 3 one, isn't it? That's the one where Squidward pretends he owns a fancy restaurant, and they jazz up the Krusty Krab a little to make it look like an expensive place. Out of the 2 Squilliam episodes, obviously the other one being, you know, Band Geeks. this is another one where I do like elements from it. I like SpongeBob's psyche being depicted by little SpongeBobs, and then one acknowledges that. Yeah, his like his whole breakdown at the end when he realizes he threw out every bit of information he knew, including his name. I don't know. Out of the two Squilliam episodes, this was never like the strongest one to me. I think it goes in a B for me, this one. Let's see. I think it's a high B, at least, like compared to these others I see. But it just doesn't quite make it to like big, memorable classic status to me. I'll put it between Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and New Student Starfish, I think. I think it's that kind of area where it's definitely not a bad week episode, but I'm basically just describing the concept of average there. When I say it's not bad, it's not good. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's a B for sure. A nice, strong, solid B. But it's nice to see Squilliam again. I like his character. They are fully divorced, by the way. They feel like they're kind of people who like dated a little bit in their 20s. They had such a passionate relationship. It didn't work out. It ended very bitterly. But, you know, they occasionally still meet up. They have a little good rapport with one another. They can think about the old times. Sorry, I'm just writing SpongeBob fanfiction at this point. This is what 3 hours of streaming does to you. Squirrel jokes. Oh, squirrel jokes. Yeah. You really can't bring this one up without talking about how much they fumbled that ending moral, can you? About it's okay if you make fun of everybody equally. As much as I like a Sandy episode, I think that's a low B. And it's not just for the moral, because, you know, I know it's like it's an over 20-year-old series now. I'm not going to take my moral compass from children's cartoons, but I think this one is just kind of light. It does have its good jokes. I like Sandy acting like the hillbilly stereotype, so she can punish SpongeBob at the end. But it's not like, it's never been one of my favourites. It doesn't really land too well for me, so I think like it's not. Oh, maybe it's more of a C actually. Yeah, like a high C again. So many things have usurped the position of high Cs. I guess it feels appropriate for a SpongeBob stream. Definitely not as difficult to watch as these lower episodes here, because I actually like squirrel jokes. I know I just said everything against that, but I could watch it and I can find jokes in it, which you would hope from an episode called Squirrel Jokes. But yeah, even though it kind of botches its whole thing, and it makes a lot of the characters too unlikable, it's not as bad as when it happens in these other ones. It's definitely like a stronger example of what I don't like about these ones right here. So I think it belongs a little further up in the C list. Do we have a better episode after this? Suds. I like Suds. I always kind of forget about that one, not because it's forgettable in itself, but I think there's so many strong ones, some of them just kind of get lost, don't they? And Suds is one I do really like. I think it's funny how Patrick is really terrified of the docks, isn't it? Just because they make you read old magazines. And they really try to avoid Sandy's help. It has been pouring down in the background here, by the way. I don't know if that's picking up on the mic, but it kind of adds to the whole chill SpongeBob music and beach playlist I have on in the background here. You get the nice watery atmosphere. Again, like I said, I feel like I've started so many of these sentences with, yeah, again. I like the world building in SpongeBob, and I like that SpongeBob's version of getting sick is bubbles come out of him because he's a sponge, and the way to cure him is to use him like an actual little kitchen sponge. It's creative, it's cute, I like the world building, I like the visuals on this one because it's another early one. I think I'll put it next to Sleepy Time because I don't know if these aren't sister episodes, are they? I feel like they're closer together, if not that, but they feel like they have the same kind of early tone to them, and the same kind of sort of low stakes gentle episodes, I guess, of season 1. Maybe season 2 as well. I think it's a season 1. Yeah, those kind of go together for me, I believe. So what is after Suds? That would be Survival of the Idiots, the other hibernation episode. Oh wait, hang on. Wait. Which one did I describe as Survival of the Idiots? Because I think I got the wrong one entirely there. Which one did I say was the Dirty Dan episode? Because that's this one. Which one did I spend a whole segment talking about the Dirty Dan episode on that was not that? Snowball Effect, I think it was. Oh no, Snowball... Hang on, Survival of the Idiots. Okay, remember, go back to everything I said about Survival of the Idiots. I always get these two titles mixed up. Everything I said about Snowball Effects early in the stream, that's about Survival of the Idiots, okay? Everything's about that. The new placement is Snowball Effect. Snowball Effect is the one where they have the Snowball Fort fight with Squidward. In that case, this one is I like this one. I don't. It's not as high as it was before. I'm sorry, Snowball Effect, but I like this one as like another low stakes episode. I think it goes about here, I guess. It's only a little lower than it was before. It's only dropped down 4. I enjoy this one. I like the interactions between SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward. I like Squidward again, like Squidville, really getting into enjoying the snowball fight and taking it too seriously. It's a cute one, and I really enjoy it. I can't believe I spent so long talking about Survival of the Idiots. I'd love to add a disclaimer to that stream, but unfortunately, YouTube did away with annotations, a really useful feature, so I can't do that anymore. I'll add a quick note to the description once I finalise the stream, and, you know, explain that this idiot did not survive. I think I saw it, and immediately I started talking about Snowball Effect as well, and then immediately started thinking of the other snow-based episode. Tea at the Tree Dome. I again, SpongeBob and Sandy, they're always really high on my list. It's really funny. I've quoted it already when I've been taking a drink on stream. The entire bit where he's just reverse drowning and basically slowly dying in front of the audience's eyes. I think the whole like close-up detailed view of him watching the water droplet just slip down the flower vase, and then it cuts back to him looking completely dried out. Such funny frames. It's got to be high, I think. I think it's got to go about... Oh, maybe, yeah. I think maybe it's good to put the 2 Stardy episodes next to each other like that. I mean, Reef Blower's all the way down here, but, you know, ignore that. 2 out of 3 of the beginning episodes right next to each other in S tier. Such an amazingly fantastic start to a cartoon. So, what have we after this then? Texas, another Sandy episode. I like this one for sort of expanding on Sandy a little bit, making us homesick. It had a lot of heart to it. There's another one with a song. There's something about episodes with a good song in them. You know, Phineas and Ferb knew that fact very well. They really just hook you in, especially if like really well written, really memorable. But I don't think it's an S tier for me. I think I would put this in like... definitely an A. Because I do like the Sandy episodes. And I think the scene of them trying to run away from her after they've enraged her, trying to lure her to the Krusty Krab, and she's just completely violent right behind them. Basically kills Patrick. You know, lassos him, turns him into a mushroom cloud explosion. Yeah, I think I would put that. Maybe around this other Sandy episode right here. Which one do I like more? I think Survival of the Idiots just surpasses this one. And Texas, I'll put, yeah, it's definitely better than Pickles, and yeah, these guys. Yeah, I think Texas deserves its new place as one of the top heroes. A lot of these are Sandy episodes. She's an underutilized, but really likable character. Maybe she's so strong because she is underutilized, and you're kind of like happy to see her again. The algae's always greener. Another plankton episode. Like I've mentioned before, I always liked stories that kind of switch up the location a bit, and this like alternate universe one where he's in Mr. Krabs' position. I really like a lot of Plankton's lines in this episode. I think he has some funny lines for I keep saying for a children's series, and honestly, I'm not trying to like, you know, patronize the concepts of programs for children, because clearly SpongeBob was aimed at a younger audience and that has so many like highbrow examples, but I think a lot of Plankton's lines in this, like in a cosmic sort of way, yes, it's just, I think he just has a lot of like surprisingly complex jokes, a lot of humor that I don't think you would really pick up on as a kid, not because it's too adult for you, but because it's so out there. And especially like coupled with Mr. Lawrence's delivery. I think it's got to be an S, you know. Maybe a low S? Maybe, yeah, maybe above Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3. I just think it's a good one. And, you know, as a kid, the reveal that Mr. Krabs is the villain, the antagonist, the Krusty Krab, and swings in naked, and then they put a bra on him. It's just, what can you say? It's just a classic, thoroughly fantastic episode. The bully. I was never like massively into that one. I think the payoff is good, that SpongeBob has been scared this whole episode of being beaten up by someone who, like, he's just met for no reason. That he doesn't even feel it because he's a sponge and he just absorbs it. He doesn't feel any pain. I think that's good. But I just, you know, apart from one joke that I really like, which is SpongeBob is hiding in the toilets and he hears somebody come in and thinks it's Flats. He's like, I gotta act natural. And then a fish who isn't Flats lifts the lid and just sees a realistic sponge floating in the bowl and goes, well, that's real nice. I like that joke, but that's the only thing I could really pick out of this one. So I'm gonna put that somewhere about here, or maybe there. No, yeah. I think it's better than Kenny Spare a Dime, but it's not quite as good as, like, you know, Home Sweet Pineapple, Imitation Crabs, that kind of thing. I think it sits comfortably in the average pile for me. Do you know Flats is a Biff from Back to the Future, by the way? I only found that out myself recently. He's also the Strangler. He's Reg outside the Salty Spittoon. He was so many characters in classic SpongeBob. It's so weird when you find what other people have been in. What else? Oh, Sponge Garden Duty! How did I nearly miss this one? Hello. I like this one okay. Yeah, it's not what... Again, it's one of those that's never really left a huge impression on me. I always thought it was funny. I think the bit where, like, SpongeBob realizes he's been left on guard as Larry moves away for the day, and the little inflatable appears, and he just goes, I can't swim. It's so good in such a pathetic little way. I think it's another average, though. About here... There, yeah. I don't have a lot to say about that one, unfortunately. Again, everything in the B tier is not really a bad episode, it's just ones that were really just average. I don't have a lot to sort of pick out and discuss like I've done with the other ones that I really specifically enjoyed. but they weren't objectively bad. They weren't poorly written, they weren't unfunny, they're just kind of, you know, they're there. They're like, you know, mediocre seems a bit harsh, but just one step above mediocre, I guess. That is such like damned with faint praise. The campy episode though, however, one of my personal favourites from season 3. Just a fantastic episode. And again, it's a very self-contained one. All it is the characters Patrick, SpongeBob and Squidward working off each other, sitting outside for basically the whole duration of the episode, and it just works fantastically. And I think, even though I just gave it so many compliments then, I think it's maybe a lower S. It's not quite fully, but it's definitely not low enough to be an A. It's definitely got to be somewhere in here. So I think I'd put it on. It's like weighing up which ones have the rewatchability, which ones I find more entertaining. Like, between these episodes, out of a selection that I had to watch now, I could only watch one episode, what would I go to? And I think I honestly would put it about here. I know that sounds weird after everything I just said about it, like, oh, I love this episode, favourite of season 3, low S. But that's honestly like my gut reaction to think, what would I watch right now? What would I think was the most entertaining? And I think it belongs in about that pile. You know, a low S is still a high rank. You know, so they're all S and A tier. There's just like a full bias here completely. Oh, and these poor little episodes, just like, I mean, there's a fair few there. They can't all be good, can they? In about 3 seasons, some have got to be a bit weak. I really enjoy The Chaperone. I think it's a really adorable episode. I think SpongeBob's design, being long, tan and handsome, is inherently amusing. He looks just so ridiculous in his little stilt legs. I like Pearl. She's also very underutilized, especially in these early seasons. It's got a song again, doing the sponge. There's something about a song episode that really rates it highly in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know if it has enough going on for it to be an S. It's quite another mild, low stakes one. But it's cute and nicely animated. Another early episode with the older art direction. I think it does belong about here. I think I would give it a high A, you know. I think I truly would. I think that's where it belongs in my heart. So what else have we got to go now? The Great Snail Race. Oh well, I've been putting enough things in S and A tier. I think this comes down to another lower one. You know, not quite there. But I think bordering on. I just think this one is like too unpleasant. It doesn't really have a lot of jokes. I like the running gag of people getting Squidward's surname wrong. But like SpongeBob is just like too unpleasant. Weirdly misogynistic in this episode. I know it's the early 2000s, so it's like, what can you do, you know? What do you do? It's just like how it is. He does get punished for it at the end, but you know, it seems weird, like, he's so loving of Gary, and I guess it's to show that, you know, all characters have their flaws, and all loving hero can sometimes make mistakes, and it's just whatever comedy the situation calls for in that moment. You know, they're very versatile, flexible characters. But yeah, I never got super into this one. It just felt very out of character and kind of hard to watch. So yeah, Great Snail Race, definitely a C-, I would think. So we have the Fry Cook games. I like this one just for how unusual the plot is. Like, I like that it already starts with them there. There's just like, you know, an assumption that You gotta know what the Fry Cook Games is. Why wouldn't you? Of course they have the Fry Cook Games in Bikini Bottom. This one's funny. It's got a plankton. It's got a plankton in it. Yeah. I like the whole wrestling segment with them, like Patrick and SpongeBob becoming rivals, and the incredibly gross joke of it ending on Patrick saying, "These were white when I bought them," about his yellow underwear. Disgusting. I think it goes about. I think I'll put it about here. I'm changing my mind so much on this top A tier. I don't know why, but I can't bear to put anything further down. Everything that goes in this A tier now seems like a decent A. I think the last time I put something lower down was like Sandy's Rocket, maybe, which is a few episodes ago now. But yeah, I definitely I think that's where it belongs. Oh wow, God, that's a lot of title cards to scroll past. Whereabouts are we now then? I hope I haven't skipped one accidentally all the way up. That would be terrible. I'm not coming back if I did. I might, like, if I did, I'll add other opinions to, Where's the paper, by the way? Did I miss that in P? I haven't seen that episode yet. Or is it in the somewhere? The card. It's not the card though, is it? It's called the paper, I think. Hang on, let me have a proper look-see here. Oh my god, there's so many episodes that. Oh yeah, the paper, okay. I didn't realize how many episodes started with the. I guess usually you'd sort these into, you know, the first initial after the word the. So it's making me realize just how many there are. Yeah, that would be, I believe, the paper is the next season 1 to 3 episode. So I like this one. It's another one that's very simplistic. But I think it does its, I think it executes the concept well. It's another Squidward jealousy episode. I think there's something cute about watching him let loose, get really jealous of the way SpongeBob's enjoying himself. I don't know if it's A-worthy. I like watching it, but it is quite, you know, not a lot does happen in it. It is a very basic concept of SpongeBob. It has a lot of fun with the paper. I really enjoy the sequence where he keeps asking if he's definitely okay with Squidward giving him the paper as well. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about it, but, you know, there's not a lot going on in that episode. I think it's, I would put it as a high B, I think. It usurps Squidville as the superior Squidward B episode, I suppose. The secret box. I mean, this one's a classic, isn't it? I wouldn't say, though, that I would put it in the best tier. I think I'm feeling... God, it's so hard to get up through these now. I think I'm feeling... Oh, I don't know if anyone's gonna like this decision. I think it's a high B again. I enjoy it, I do. But I think realizing how many others there are that are superior to other episodes, I think it's got to be a low B one. This is one of those episodes where I always remember and enjoyed the last half of it more. Like, the bits where, like, SpongeBob's just trying to look in the box at the beginning are good enough, but it's the bit where he actually goes into the rock and tries to sneak up on Patrick and steal the box at night that I think is where its strength lies. I think that's where most of the humour is. So I think because, like, most of the episode is a bit weaker in comparison to that bit, I think that's why it kind of goes into the average tier. Not super average, higher than average, somewhere about here, you know. Yeah, I think that is definitely where that should go. the very... I guess the last one is your shoes untied. Okay, so... Before that, though, we have the smoking peanut. I was never really super into this one. This is again, which I have said for so many episodes, one where I remember random specific gags more so than the whole package. Like Patrick being arrested as the person who upset the clam and not realize it was him the whole time. That's a good joke. But yeah, it's a low B, I think. There's just nothing particularly like outstanding about this one. I don't know what it is about it. Which is again another thing there's so many episodes on this list I've found where I've gone, yeah, I can't find anything to really criticize about it, but also nothing really sticks out either. So this is kind of like this list, you know, like from here to here. This is like, no, from about here to here. You could just imagine it like as a slightly misshapen oval. It's like, yeah, I don't have much to say about those. These are like more actively unpleasant to watch, and then these are just bad. Not a good episode. We're almost done. Oh no, speaking of bad episodes. Oh no. I think this is the final one to be in the D tier. Much like the house party episode. I like the patchy segments, I like the opening, more so than I do the actual lost episode. It's another one where the residents of Bikini Bottom were just too cruel to SpongeBob for no particular reason. It's weird how it shifted from him being everybody except maybe like Squidward's best friend to people like actively hating him in town. And I don't think you can get a lot of humour out of that, because at a certain point it just feels like watching somebody in real life get bullied by, you know, everybody in town and not realise that they're disliked and not in on the joke. Yeah, this one just felt too... It was just too harsh a watch, but I do like the opening patchy segment, so I guess that's got to account for something. It's a D+, purely because I like the patchy opening where he's looking for the lost episode and then like throws a tantrum because it wasn't a very good episode when he thought it was the walk cycles. Yeah, for these two episodes I like the patchy moments, but I just realised, is my cursor even showing on this? I don't think it is. So when I actually went from here to here on the B list, I don't think you saw it. If you didn't, I would say from about Paddy Hype to I Had an Accident, they're just sort of like meh. And then Doing Time to I'm With Stupid are the ones that I just don't really... I never really liked that much for various reasons. They're like boring to actively kind of unpleasant to watch. Ugh. That's the third and last special. And I would comfortably, I think, put this one at a low C tier. It's not bad enough to be on D, but it was just kind of dull. You know, Patchy was the highlight of the episode. I remember liking the When Worlds Collide song with Paddy and the Caveman, who's played by Bill Fogabaki. Yeah, I just have nothing really to say about UGG. It feels like kind of a retread of SB129, but less fun, because they kind of extended concepts that really only worked in a small amount, like in moderation, to a whole episode, a whole special actually, and it just never works for me. I always used to just get this episode confused a lot with SB129 because the concept is basically the same, except that the designs of the primitive SpongeBob and Patrick are slightly different. There was just like a lot of padding And I know mostly some of those were based on like 2001 A Space Odyssey jokes, but when you don't get the reference, this is an example of a reference that doesn't really work. If you don't understand what that is, it's boring. If you do understand what that is, it's kind of boring anyway, because it doesn't really, it's just like, look, it's a 2001 reference, and it's like, it doesn't really work in this format. Yeah, there was a lot of like just long, extended long shots of extended long shots. That definitely isn't redundant. Yeah, I just didn't. I'm finding a lot of ways to say that I didn't really care about Urk that much, even though it wasn't as bad as these D tier ones. But yeah, the season 3 specials, just even at the time, I was never really into them, and that hasn't really changed over the years. But are we on to a good episode? Yes, we are. Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is just so likable. Like I was mentioning earlier, everyone in Bikini Bottom, you know, loves SpongeBob. They're, you know, they're annoyed by him sometimes, but they ultimately think, oh, he's just a cute little harmless guy. And like that he gives everybody Valentine's Day presents here. And I think the face that Patrick does in the montage of getting a handshake for Valentine's Day is funny. So, and of course, like his whole like breakdown at the end. I don't think it's an S. I think I could put this above Fry Cook Games and Suds. I think I enjoy it, but these tiers just like go bigger, you know, these episodes and this whole S tier, they go big. They are consistently funny. They're like just a joke every moment. And yeah, poor little Valentine's Day just gets beaten out. Just squeaks out of the S tier by a few. So where's after this? Walking Small. I like that one. That's the one where like Plankton tries to get SpongeBob to stand up for himself for his own gain. I think it's okay. Yeah, it's not one of my strongest Plankton eps, I don't think. I actually thought that might have been Plankton. That wasn't the strongest one in his introduction, but this one is also a bit lower. I would say a low A, though it's still pretty good. I like SpongeBob accidentally upsetting people and annoying everyone on the beach to try taking Plankton's advice to stand up for himself. I think it's a funny episode. I always liked the Goo Lagoon settings. I think it was nice to have a change of pace from the other Bikini Bottom locations like the Krusty Krab or, you know, SpongeBob's house. I think I'll put it about maybe above Bubble Buddy. Those two kind of beachy episodes feel like they go hand in hand. I feel like they kind of have a similarity to each other. Yeah, that's good for me. Oh, the music timing has returned. How lovely. So, the next episode to talk about is Welcome to the Chum Bucket. Oh, well, again, song episode with possibly one of the best songs in the series. A grill is a grill. Oh my god, my voice is going after these 3 hours. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the Flash games today, unfortunately. It's been nearly 4 hours. Oh my god, how have I talked for so long about 3 seasons of SpongeBob? Oh my god, that is incredible. Welcome to the Chum Bucket. Speaking of better Plankton episodes, I think that has to be an S. I've put so many, like half of this season 1 to 3 is in the S series, if not A. Series? Ranking, wow. My brain is melting after this length of time. It's gotta be up there, and I think it probably goes quite high too. I think I'll put it here. Yeah, just under Ripped Pants. The song is a silly little spoof, but surprisingly earnest and heartfelt. I like SpongeBob getting really spoilt by the end of the episode and refusing to make a Krabby Patty for Plankton, being really sassy. I like that they have a bit of they end it with kind of like a parent and child dynamic going on, with Plankton going like, that's it, you just lost your brain privileges, putting his brain in a robot who then doesn't obey him because it's the same brain. It's just a fun little episode. I think this has so many entertaining elements. That's what puts it into S tier for me. Oh, how many do we have now? Wet painters, wormy, and your shoes untied. Unless I've missed some, which I think I have. There's probably like a really famous episode, isn't it, that I've skipped on the list somewhere. But you know what? It's been nearly 4 hours. I'm not going back now. With this, whatever's behind us, it's too late now. Oh my god, I thought I saw something. That was an older episode. I don't think I did. If I missed anything, I can always attach it to the beginning of like the actual Flash game stream. Because this has gone on for so long. Okay, wet painters? This one was alright. I don't think it got as much out of its basic concepts as other episodes did, like Rock Bottom or Valentine's Day, you know. I always like the joke here of like, there's a little moment which I never hear anybody reference, and other people must really like it. When Mr. Krabs is trying to take SpongeBob away from the frames of paintings that he's hiding behind his painted over dollar, he just really quickly goes, "Don't look, it's a trick!" And I always really liked that moment. It comes and goes really quickly. It's a very like drive-by joke. I think that's why a lot of people don't mention it. But it makes no sense. It's just a funny line to me. But I think probably about here. Here. This music is how I feel after nearly 4 hours. Yeah, I think I'll put it about there. I think that's about right for wet painters. Not like one of my favorites. Not bad either. Wormy. This episode was absolutely terrifying for those close-up shots of I think it's a horsefly and not a butterfly that they used. And when you've already got kind of a squeamish sense around insects, especially with the idea of them being on you, that's a horrible episode to watch. But it's a pretty good one. I think I would still put it in an average though. I don't know. A lot of these have the same kind of title card too, with the big neon letters and the dark background. Interesting. How do they look on the other tiers? Oh, there's quite a few of those actually. They're a little more simplified. Wormy? It's good, but after they come out of Sandy's Tree Dome, I don't really like, I remember it, I know like they all run away from the monster, which is Wormy, and cause chaos in the town. And you have, again, a meme came from that one where they're standing amongst the wreckage of Bikini Bottom and say, "We did it, Patrick, we saved the city." So, there's definitely some humour in it. But yeah, I think once they come out of Sandy's Tree Dome, it's probably about there. I almost want to put it here so the text looks really nice, but no, it goes there, unfortunately. I like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy just a little more. And I think... Did I put Graveyard Shift up there? I did, didn't I? Hang on. Graveyard Shift is there, yeah. I don't know why I thought I didn't get that one. I think I feel really anxious that I'm missing a classic episode here. I don't think I am. I'm just gonna have one last little check over these before we get to the end. I feel like the harder I look, the easier it is to miss. So we had, oh, remember we were in the peas? Remember the pea section? Yeah, I think I've done all of them. I think these are definitely sports. I wonder what that episode's about. This is really good music to play against this this little recap of them. Yeah, that looks like it's the end already. I can hardly believe we're here. Oh my god, everything's going so wrong with my voice right now. Yeah, your shoe's untied. And I would say this episode is just above average. It's got a song by Ween at the end. Isn't that amazing? I didn't know who that band was as a kid. I imagine a lot of kid viewers didn't, because a lot of their music isn't particularly kid-friendly. But obviously Ocean Man, well, their album, was it The Mollusk, was a huge inspiration on SpongeBob, on its production. And they obviously used Ocean Man in the credits, which for years I always thought was a film. It definitely was a film, was a song written specifically for the ending of the film, because the lyrics match up so well with everything. No, Steven Hillenburg is just sadly a huge fan of the band Ween, and wanted to use their music in his show and his movie, so it fits. It does all tie together, much like a shoelace, incredibly well. And I would probably say this. It's a bit anticlimactic for it to be the last episode, but it's not an S or an A tier. It is just a comfortable little B tier. And I think probably about here, maybe. So Wormy has sadly, at the very last minute, been knocked off the top spot. Just at the very end there, is the second to last episode. It couldn't hold that position for too long. That position, oh my god, help, please, it's been so long. But yeah, as far as I can see, that is all the episodes. So how about I go through them again one by one? I promise I won't do something like that to you. I wouldn't do something so horrible. Let's make this an 8-hour stream. Oh, you know what would be horrible? Let's put in pride of place right about there. There we go. Actually, no, let's put him here. That's the celebration of making it 4 hours into the stream. What a wonderful stream this has been. So, yeah. Sorry if anyone actually wanted to watch the Flash games tonight. This ran so much longer than I ever could have anticipated. I did not think I would have so much to say. I did not think there would be so many episodes to rank. But we did it. We got through. This is, as far as I can see, every episode of season 1 to season 3 ranked. Unless I've missed one out, or 2 or 3, which is very likely. But if that did happen, I'll go ahead and I'll amend these to the beginning of the next stream, where I actually do the Flash games, I promise. So yeah, I'm sorry if anyone wanted to see those, because the previous streams I've done brought out some great games. So I apologise for that false advertising. I wanted to get to them too. I didn't think you would have to put up with 4 hours of just me and some lovely backing music from Bikini Bottom. But there it is. That is the full tier list. Asterisk. Potentially. There's only 3 episodes I have not seen. Only 3 episodes in D. A few more in C. B is pretty substantial, and then A and S is why I just could never be a professional critic, because I'm too generous to this cartoon that I've grown up with and still enjoy and still really fond of. And it's just something that you really can appreciate far into your adult years for its humour, its absolutely gorgeous animation, its creative world building. It's just an all-around very strong and likeable, endearing series. And even as Nickelodeon continues to drag its corpse around network television, there's still a lot of fond memories associated with SpongeBob SquarePants. So, after that 4 hours somehow of the SpongeBob episode tier list, it is done. And thank you for sticking with all of it, which is probably no one. It's probably just me. Some of it, which is some viewers I can see there. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I did not expect it to go on so long, so I can only apologise again for the length, for the lack of Flash games. But I promise we will see more of them the next time I stream. So, this is good music to close out to, I think. Especially with this little SpongeBob right here. Yeah. Yeah, so, wow, it's weird to close this off after so long. I think this is probably the longest stream I have ever done. I don't think I'll be doing it anytime again soon. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess I'll go ahead and upload this once I'm done, just to give people the much quicker rundown on what happened. I do like doing tier lists like this. If I do one again in the future, I probably won't do one so unbelievably long. I just couldn't help talking about a lot of the episodes I like, and also the breaks obviously contributes to that too. It's almost like having commercial breaks, you know, in an episode of SpongeBob in some way. It's not at all like that. But again, thank you so much for watching the stream. At whatever point you joined. If you stuck any of this out, I really do appreciate it. I had fun here. It definitely got very tiring at the end, but yeah, I had a good time discussing this classic cartoon and sharing our opinions on it, and it was fun. I'm never going to do this again. Thanks for watching. I forgot he was on the end screen. I'm so sorry.